Boop, 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 boop. Boop, 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 boop. Boop, 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 boop. Boom, 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 boom. Hey, 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 hey. Oh. I don't know why. Over on Twitch, it's not streaming. Like it's streaming, but I can't see it. So there's something going on with my visibility over on Twitch. Or maybe it's actually just a problem with my computer here. Just 1 second. Just getting everything sorted out. Anybody in the live? Good day, Mark Jr. Okay, cool. So it's working. Peanut Butter Beatrice, good to see you. I don't know what's going on with my Twitch. I'm gonna have to dig into this. It's the same problem as last time. I can't see the video. I suspect it has more to do with my own system. Eggs D, good to see you. Good to see you. Welcome to the Cope. Welcome to the Cope. I feel like that's what this is. We're just coping, right? Joe, good to see you. Lou, good to see you. How goes? It goes, my man. It goes. Slow and steady wins the race, as they say. We're just, I don't know. I'm just here at this point. Like, this show has kind of become just one big gigantic I told you so. Like, that's basically all this is at this point. It's just me being like, hey, you know that thing I said was going to happen? Here it is. Mark Jr. writes, I forgot to send you something I read today. I saw a post that Gen Z makes for the first time in a long time are attending church more than women. I assume that means Gen Z males. You didn't say Gen Z makes. Gen Z men. Yeah, I mean, desperate times call for desperate measures, right? Like, it's, when people, like, this is how you get cults, Mark. Like, this is how cults happen. This is why cults happen. This is why people gravitate towards your Pat Robertsons. This is why people gravitate towards your Jordans Petersons, right? The reason why people start going to church again, and the reason why people start going and join cults and all that kind of stuff is because they have been, by and large, rejected by the society, right? That the society itself has become so hostile to life, to community, to the idea of gathering, to the idea of talking to one another and organizing in any kind of way, just like the absolute hostility that our society projects onto its citizens. And so people flee to systems that are greeting them with open arms. Yeah, clutching their crystals, as Carl Sagan once said. Yeah. And I mean, if I wanted to, I don't want to be rude to these people, right? I don't want to be cruel to them or mean, because I think it is just like an inherently human thing to do. Like, I don't think that this is foolish or silly or stupid or any of that. I think that it's just very natural that when a society abandons huge sections of itself, and Gen Z males, in my view, are just like top of the chart for this. Just absolutely wholesale, completely, hey, welcome to Earth. When you graduate, by the way, your life is completely ruined. There are no jobs. You will have no prospects. You'll literally work in a cafe until you're 85 and then die. That's the promise. That's what they're being told. Like, that's what the power system is telling them is happening to them, and that there is no hope, and just if you want to get out of it, here's $100,000 worth of debt for a human arts degree, right? For a humanities degree, you know, like we are a society that has completely abandoned the very concept of society. We're a culture that has abandoned the concept of culture. We're a civilization that never in one moment of our lives embraced the concept of civilization, right? So we have always been a business. That's all we've ever been here in the West. And to cut costs, those businesses abandon people, right? To keep profits high, they just abandon huge segments of the population because it's never been a society or a civilization. It's always been a business. And so what emerges from that pattern of complete and total wholesale abandonment are institutions that are theoretically there to actually be part of civilization, right? That the Catholic churches and the churches arise from the ruins of the Roman Empire, and that huge segments of the population are completely abandoned, left to fend for themselves, basically, and who picks up the slack? Like, where do people go? Where do they gravitate to? The churches, right? And it is at least a place anyone can go and sort of air their grievances or find catharsis or cope, right? Like, why do you guys come here? It's coping. It's 100% coping. And if I wanted to be really nice to the churches, if I wanted to be really sweet to them, right, a real sweetheart, little peck on the cheek, and give them a little pat on the head, it would be to say that the churches offer a method for people to engage with their non-rational emotional selves. That's the purpose of the churches fundamentally, like at their root. That we are non-rational creatures living in a system we don't understand. We are existential creatures, and the churches give you a language by which to interact with your spiritual, non-rational, emotional self. And there's a conflict there for modern thinkers because we use psychology in order to describe our non-rational emotional selves, right? We use, like, Freudian psychology is what we do. And we have given emotions names, and we talk about, I feel sad, I have depression, I have anxiety, right? Like, this is the method by which we discuss our emotional selves. And then we can try to grapple with our non-rational selves through reason, which is an interesting idea, right? That we have a non-rational self and that we have a rational self, and that the rational should be able to grapple with the non-rational. Jury's out on whether or not that's possible or a real thing. But it does give a language, right? And so what you end up with a bunch of people who have an emotional language that is articulated through stories, through Jesus, basically. And it's important to them that that's respected, right? So this is the reason why you have all the, like, fundamentalist Christians, the people who are like, Jesus literally was a literal thing that literally happened literally. There was a real live wizard that was walking around casting magic spells, and that's a literal thing that definitely happened. It's very important to me that that's real. Instead of the more mature thing, which is like, yeah, obviously there wasn't a wizard walking around, but we do need a language by which to describe our emotional, non-rational selves, right? And so when you encounter somebody who's telling you stories from the Bible and it's very important to them, my suggestion is don't immediately start being like, Jesus didn't exist and there wasn't a wizard and all, because none of that actually is real or matters, right? Like, you're trying to strip away somebody's non-rational, like, emotional support, really, and you don't have to. In fact, you're gonna find a lot more pleasure and a lot more enjoyment and a lot more camaraderie and a lot more success if you just accept that what they're doing is telling you something about themselves, something about their non-rational selves, right? Something about their emotional self. They're telling you this story, or they're talking about this story, or they're discussing the story because that's the method that they have in order to open themselves up and be vulnerable emotionally. Like, you think about that kind of classic pent-up emotional Protestant male, right? Who just bottles everything up and never actually talks about emotions and never, okay, well, all of a sudden that guy's telling you a story from the Bible, right? So what he's doing is he's allowing himself to be vulnerable, but at a bit of a distance. So the emotion happens over there. Um, and so he doesn't actually have to be vulnerable, but he can articulate something important about his most vulnerable self through these stories. And if you engage with the stories and you talk through symbolism and you talk in that kind of way, yeah, you're gonna make a friend, and you're gonna have a good time, right? And it's gonna be helpful for both of you. And so it's not surprising at all, to circle it all the way back around, Mark. I'm not blown away at all that there is an increase in church going amongst Gen Z men. In fact, I've been saying all along that there's going to be a huge increase in cults. Cults are going to take off like never before. Like, America has always had like a fairly virulent cult culture. It's pretty common in America, because America is exclusively a business that abandons even the basic precept of civilization. Jefferson Thompson, good to see you. Compton, good to see you. JT, good to see you. And so, you're just going to see huge, and there's already cults around. Like, there's already cults around. You got Shen Yun is a big cult, right? That's how you get like Chinese immigrants and people with a Chinese background, right? So there's like a Chinese cult, Shen Yun, which is very public and very open. Like, it's not like a subterfuge thing. It's not like an underground, like you can't find them. Like, they literally advertise, and they have posters. Like, they put posters up, right? So, Shen Yun is like right in front of your face. There are like rifle cults. That's one of my favorites. Are the rifle cults, right? These guys that hold services holding AR-15s, and they've got crowns made out of bullets and that kind of stuff. And yeah, JT points out, and anti-vax stuff will increase anti-science, of course, especially as organizations like Harvard basically continue the abandonment, right? So these organizations lose credibility, right? These organizations completely lose credibility. And the moment organizations lose credibility, like, if you have less credibility than a guy being like, Jesus Christ is coming back at any moment, like, if you have the same amount of credibility as that guy, then don't be too surprised if that guy starts to gain prominence in your society, right? Don't be blown away by that. And, like, like, I really do hate to break it to people. And it's just, like, I basically say this now, not as like a gotcha, or as a like way to, like, even a rallying call. It's just, it does need to be said because it's true. And at this point, I consider myself somebody who's just documenting the decline of the West. Perhaps the decline of humanity. Jury's out on that one. Here in the West, all institutions are no longer credible. That the institutions that exist for their own sake, or for the sake of a small group of oligarchs. The banks, the hospitals, the churches. There isn't a single organization that has credibility any longer. The universities. I jokingly say that the only institution that actually has any credibility left in this society are the strip clubs, because they deliver on what they promise. That there's no scam there, right? Everything in our culture is a scam. Not one part of it is not a scam. If you think that things are going swimmingly, then you're part of the scam. If you think that you're getting a good deal, then it's an effective scam. Everything is a scam. And going into literally any situation, the first thing that you think 100% of the time should be, how is this person trying to scam me? Because it's all a scam now. Like, university loans are an enormous, massive scam. Like, so obviously a way to gatekeep people's desire for further education and to profit from them and put them into indentured servitude, in fact, so that they can get access to any amount of education. And the purpose of that, of course, is because you want to keep educated people loyal to a system that's abandoning them, right? Which is what we're doing. So, from all of this, as the noose tightens and as generations come in, and as like Gen Z has spawned in and been like, oh, this is a wasteland. Like they immediately recognize it because it's impossible not to. Like as soon as you get out of the dementia thinking, as soon as you get out of like the death cult, like by the time you're 10, like if you have enough awareness about you to be like, oh, Santa isn't real, then you have enough awareness around you to be like, oh, this entire system, like everything in it, the teachers, the lawyers, the doctors, the judges, the politicians, the bankers, the priests, they're all frauds. Like they're frauds. And that's what we're really looking at. And even worse than that, there are no institutions that exist to counterbalance this at all. Even a tiny little bit. Like, so from this, cults will arise. Shen Yun is an easy one to point to, right? Because they're extremely well established. Like, yeah, Mark is like, I see Shen Yun ads on billboards all over New Jersey. And they're like a racial purity cult. Like, they're like one step away from the Ku Klux Klan, right? They've just shrouded themselves in, like, mysticism and dance, like the flowery niceness, but they're like sirens, right? Like they're like the monster, the siren. They're singing a beautiful song to lull you into their shores and smash against the rocks so that they can feast on your brains, right? Like that's their strategy, and that's who they are. Joe says, is it any wonder people grow apathetic? But, like, I don't know. This concept of apathy, like, this malaise you're talking about, it's just like, we just know there's nothing left to save, right? Like the earth will heal itself. We will destroy ourselves. And so it's not really, like, from my perspective, it's not apathy. It's just, like, straight up people being like the horse is out of the barn. Like, you can't, the bomb's already gone off, right? Like, it's not, like, apathy is this, like, oh, well, we could stop it, but, well. But, like, we're done with that. Like, we're done with that. Like, we're not stopping it. Like, it's not being stopped. We're not going to stop it. We're not intending to stop it. Like, if we really cared about our children, like, if we actually cared, we would definitely be demanding that, like, these people be rounded up. Like, Woodside boss says young people ideological on fossil fuels will happily ordering. Like, Meg O'Neill tells energy industry conference, like, this person should be in prison, right? Like, this person should have no power. They should have their assets stripped. They should not be permitted to speak in public. Like, we should make it so that this person lives in a hole that we have forgotten about, right? Like, that's where these people should go. And if we were serious, we're not. But if we were, like, and if we actually cared about our children, we don't. But if we did, we would be insisting and demanding that our governments declare those people, at the very bare minimum, enemies of the state. Like, at the very, very basic bare minimum, enemies of Canada, right? That the fact that those people are well protected, well regarded, and can go wherever they want freely, it tells you everything you need to know about the subject. Like, we should be incarcerating these people. We should be stripping power from the fossil fuel industry. But we're a deeply unserious people. And I really do think it comes down to just the reality that I just think we're too stupid. Like, I know that this is, like, kind of a downer, but this is just how I've been feeling the last few weeks. Like, I just genuinely think we're too stupid. I don't think that Westerners specifically, because I think that humanity is capable. Like, that's something that I really need to make an important distinction on. Like, I think that humanity is capable, right? that humans are very adaptable. Humans are very intelligent. Humans can create institutions and systems that are beneficial and that do work for the benefit of society. Humans are more than capable of confronting these crises and are more than capable of resolving them. I genuinely believe that, and I will always believe that. Westerners are not. Westerners are not. That we are too far gone. We have crossed the Rubicon, and I don't think that we can come back from it. That the narrative of the West is not going to be a big come to Jesus moment, rallying behind people, big storming of the systems, reclaiming constitutional control of America. Like it's not going to be like that, right? That the Democrats and even the Republicans will try to tell that story as if that is what's going to happen, which is what they do every election. But it's not real. Like, it's just a manufactured story that they tell, like a WWE show, right? And so we are destined for collapse. We are destined for, and the only real question is, like, is it going to be a swift collapse? Like, is it going to be like building up, building down? Or is it going to be just a slow, steady grind downwards, right? The slow spiraling decline into entropy, right? That's more or less what we were experiencing under the Democrats and the liberals. Just this steady decline, right? This controlled descent back into feudalism. But the Trump administration, I think, is just knocking out all the supports, right? It's just accelerationist at the highest possible level. Straight up like Prince John shit. Just like raise taxes on the poor, cut taxes for the rich, like destroy Medicaid, destroy Medicare. Like it's so cartoonish. Like, most of us are living in kind of a state of shocked horror watching it, just being like, But like, when I contextualize it, like, it is straight up like goofy King John shit. It's straight up like you have to look at like the 1960s Robin Hood with like that lion who's like, aha, aha. Like, this is the cast of characters that we have right now. That they're just the goofiest. Like, if you were to make a movie with these characters, no one would believe that these were real. Everyone would be like, man, what a bunch of lunatics. It's like, yep, correct. And these lunatics are happily ushering in a dramatic collapse of American systems. And so the end result is cults. It's just how it's always been, right? If you don't want to have a stable system, then you get cults. Jefferson writes, rifle cults, that's just a normal Tuesday in Brazil. Bolsonastrists pray to truck tiles and believe the aliens can see their phones if they turn the screen to the sky above their head. Perfect. That's what I'm talking about, dude. I'm really looking forward to like a proper technology cult. You know what I mean? Like, Peter Thiel is like probably the front runner for having like a proper tech cult, right? Like, the guy is essentially a vampire who keeps talking about wanting to be immortal. He is a lunatic of the highest order. He says outright in public that might makes right. He's a fascist 100% the entire way. And so it's just like the likely outcome for a lot of these billionaires, frankly, is that they're going to escape to their dumb little bunkers, right, where they think they'll be able to get away from everything because they're a bunch of fucking morons. And most of those places are going to be like cults. Like, it's just how it's going to be. Yeah. What we live in is one big pyramid scheme. Capitalism is literally a multi-level marketing scheme. Like, I just wish that we had an understanding, and this is part of the stupidity, right? Like, a big part of the stupidity of modern Westerners is that we we think money is more important than it is, right? That money is God. And the end result of that is obvious, right? If you think money is God, then the people who have the most amount of money are holy. And those people end up being just demons, really, just like demonic forces most of the time. And so you have a society that's just consuming itself, right? Let's destroy the air, the land, the water, communities, people, whoever we can for money, right? Let's do a genocide in Israel. Why? For money. Like, that's it. Let's do a genocide against the Palestinians. Why? Money. Like, and it's just raw in its purest essence stupidity. Like, it's straight up like Warhammer orc shit. Like we made paper bills and like digital numbers on a screen, and we're going to destroy reality for it. And so Westerners live in abstraction. We live in an abstract reality. It's why we be pitched ideas like the American dream so easily, and we have no real feet on the ground. We have no real basis in reality. Yeah, resignation. Resignation is what it is. Yeah, like, I mean, you have to accept reality. Like, you just have to accept reality. And reality exists and it's in front of you, and that's just the reality of it. That's just the truth of it. It's not going to get better. Like, there's no one who's interested in making it better. Like, and anybody who tries to make it better gets shot or just gets pushed out of the society, right? Just gets pushed out of the system. So the system itself has been designed to do this, and it's doing it. So we're all just going to watch that happen. JT, yeah, well, kids woke up and everything was replaced with a hollow fake duplicate, essentially. XD says they try to gatekeep and grift people into believing they are the true representatives of all Chinese culture. Yeah. China before communism, because nothing, that's Shen Yu's line, China before communism. Because what was happening before communism was just super great, right? Like, it's the same type of shit like they did with that movie Anastasia, where they basically whitewash the Romanovs and pretend as though the Tsars were like really nice people. Like, it's classic. It's classic storytelling shit, right? Like, you make a cartoonish villain like Rasputin, right? And then you make the Romanovs actually the good guys in the story. Pay no attention and literally like omit the Russian Revolution completely. It's embarrassing, right? It's embarrassing. Mark Jr. writes, funny you should mention that I was about 11 or 12 during Obama's second term, where I started to become disillusioned and I developed anarchist tendencies from skateboarding, punk rock. Yeah, punk rock's always good. Like, I've seen clips recently from the punk rockers. They're going around beating up Nazis and shit, which I think is great. I do want to share a little bit of good news, because I do think that this is interesting. Bill Burr has been sharing communist content. Bill Burr has been sharing Michael Parenti. Like, I think that that's interesting. That's of note, right? It's interesting that Bill Burr is permitted to do it. Richard, how you doing, my man? Kevin, good to see you. I don't know if I said hello. And Mark writes, I think us in the West are too comfortable with the privileges we have from imperialism. I think it will be the third world that will rise up and carry the future of humanity. I mean, it's looking to be the case, right? It's looking to be the case. And, like, the rise of China has blown apart all of the American narratives. Like, all of the American narratives are just being absolutely blown apart. And they can't really recover. They don't really know what to do. And right as that's happening, right as we have sort of crossed the threshold so that now China's ascent is obvious, right? Like before it wasn't that obvious. It wasn't that clear, right? But now we've like crossed a threshold. And it's extremely obvious. And it's going to get more obvious. I think that's the big thing, that people are not really ready. Richard asks a great question. Why did the NDP collapse in the recent election? Just curious. People see the NDP as a controlled dissent party. People don't actually think the NDP, people think the NDP are fundamentally propping up the Liberals, and they propped the Liberals up when the Liberals were Zionist, explicitly Zionist. Justin Trudeau stood up in front of all of us and said out loud, "I am a Zionist," right? He said those words, right? And so Zionists commit genocides. That's who they are. And the NDP were propping that up for a long time. And the NDP defense would be something like, oh, but we got dental, right? Which, funny enough, yeah, we got dental for everybody. This actually makes me so upset. I'm so pissed off because, and congratulations to the people who do have access to dental. So if you're between the ages of 18 and 34 here in Canada, congratulations, you have dental. And if you're between the ages of 55 and up, congratulations, you have dental. If you're between the ages of 34 to 55, you have to be disabled, and then you get dental. So me, age 42, no dental. So why do I give a fuck about the NDP even a little? So the NDP, near as I can tell, went out of their way to exclude me and people like me, middle-aged men, from their dental coverage system, and then they scratch their head and wonder why no middle-aged men voted for them. The NDP is a party of controlled dissent. It's neoliberal at its heart. It's smart enough to recognize that, that genocide's actually a genocide and we should say something about it. But then they completely propped up the genocidal regime. And I think that this was finally the election where the people who had been still sort of waffling towards the NDP finally went, you guys are just liberals. We don't need another liberal party. And we don't need another liberal party, by the way. Right now, what we have in Canada is a far-right lunatic party, which is the Conservatives. And then we have a Conservative party called the Liberals. And then we have a Liberal party called the NDP. And there's literally nobody to the left. And so, as this collapse happens, it's a collapse to the right. That's what's happening. Everything is just going to collapse rightward. And anybody who actually stands up and attempts to organize on the left in any way that could be considered legitimate or real will just have people show up at their houses. That's what's going to happen. We haven't gone full-blown Nazi yet. Right? With all the deportations, with all of the cuts, with all of the malice that's coming out of America right now, and that's going throughout Europe and going throughout Canada as well, because it's capitalist systems, right? It's the imperial heart, right? We have not yet gone full Nazi. This is still, we're going on the road towards Nazism. We're not at the peak of it, right? We're not at the peak of it. And I suppose this is a moment where I actually have to say, by way of warning, I guess, or by way of caution, by here's the sign, the end is nigh, right? We are going to go full-blown Nazi. The police will just sweep through streets and kick in doors and grab people and round them up. And they're already doing it in small scale ways, but eventually it'll be a big project that they actually enact and they actually follow through on, and there'll be an enormous, massive clampdown moment, and everybody sort of senses that it's coming. Everybody has a sort of internal understanding. You're part of the zeitgeist, you're part of the psychic energy of humanity. You can tell that it's coming. And so in the midst of that, the NDP look pathetic. Because they are pathetic. They're a pathetic party. They stand for really nothing. They're following the liberal playbook to power, which is offer the smallest possible piecemeal reformism to people, But like we're at a point now where we need an organization that's like saying we need to seize control of the banks. Like that's what we're at. We need a political organization, we need a political leadership that's literally going to say out loud in front of everybody, yeah, we have to seize control of the banks. We have to seize control of the resource system, the resource distribution systems. Like we have to seize control of this. We need to get these capitalists out of this. We need to get the oligarchs out of it. And if you don't have a political system that's saying that, if you don't have a politician that's willing to stand up and say that, then I don't see any reason to support them. Like, why would I ever support them? Why would anybody support them? Like, there's a reason why voter turnout is the lowest it's ever been, right? There's a reason why voter turnout is taking such a shit. Because most people understand the system no longer responds to them. And is no longer interested in helping them. Austin, how are you doing, friend? Good to see you. Marcus wrote a while back, just bought an AK and 5 acres an hour's drive away from the nearest city. Good for you, dude. No, straight up. Like, I'm seeing that's becoming common. Like, that's becoming... I have a friend who has already done that. I have another friend that continuously talks about it. If she finds the right land, she'll probably pull that trigger. I think that it's going to become more and more common for people to just feel as though we need to have some place that we can escape to, or some place that we can rally, or some place that we can get away from, because the cities are becoming the cities are becoming hostile. Like they're becoming, like, just walk into the downtown of literally any city in America, and the infrastructure is becoming hostile. Nobody wants you to be comfortable there, and it's just very straightforward. XD writes, Kurt Cobain got some pretty good takes. Yeah, Kurt Cobain was actually like an artist. Like, he was an actual visionary who was really tapping into a real energy that existed during the 90s. And he outright said, this is what's incredible about Kurt Cobain, if you ask me. He outright said in an interview that he was talking about the future of American democracy, and he outright said, people will rally behind like a business figure or businessman. Call me crazy. It'll be someone like Donald Trump, is what he said. It's like, oh, like Kurt Cobain knew, and he wasn't like, Donald Trump will be the president. That's not how he said it. But it was just like, yeah, it'll be someone like Donald Trump. And now here we are. Because the West is just like a deeply, deeply stupid place. Our institutions are stupid. The things that we do are stupid. Our ideas are stupid. And there's like virulent institutional support to maintain our stupidity. Like, our leadership wants us to be stupid, and then they themselves are deeply, deeply stupid. Like, any intelligent governing body or any intelligent institution, the first question they would be asking is, how are we helping people with this? How is this an assistance? Like, how are we assisting anything? Jefferson writes, mental health has certainly been taking a nosedive in the last few weeks / months / years. Yeah. Like, this has been, like, there's been a rise in depression. There's been a rise in anxiety. There's been a rise in what gets called mental health issues. And the pandemic helped normalize that language and help normalize that thing. But the solution from capitalism is, of course, let's sell you a pill. And everything's a scam, right? So instead of actually saying, hey, maybe depression and anxiety is a perfectly acceptable response to a collapsing society that's seeking to destroy itself. And instead of trying to sell people drugs to numb them so they can cope with the system that's destroying them, how about we actually confront the system that's destroying them? No? Oh, okay. Like, we're not, yeah. Kurt Cobain was a dialectical materialist, perhaps. Tupac said this too in the 90s, and Tupac was a communist. Yeah, look what happened to him. Right? Like, look what happens to these guys. Look what happens to Fred Hampton. Look what happens to Martin Luther King. Like, look what happens to these guys. Right? We wonder why, oh, where's the left? Where's the left? They get assassinated. They get killed. And now we have a system, like we have a surveillance system that's so oppressive, that's so capable of sifting, that's so like, if anybody actually does anything in order to get in the way of capital, like, they're going to get rounded up. Like, they're going to get deported. They're going to grab people. They're going to disappear people. They're just going to do this stuff. Right? And then we wonder, like, oh, well, where's the left? The left, it's in a prison somewhere. Like, that's where they are. They're in a grave. That's where they are. Right? And so most people are just terrorized out of it, and they just know, I'm not going to engage with it, because I would rather live like my life with my head down and just grind away at this, whatever this is, than do something and end up in prison. Like, that's... John Hallenberg writes, older power mongers have a short time left, so they don't care about the environment. My clients joke about it all the time. Yeah. Like, a firm argument for why we should remove these people's assets. Right? As firm an argument as exists for why we should just get rid of these people's assets and make it impossible for people to collect this amount of assets. Like, people should not have this kind of wealth disparity. They just should not have it. It should not exist. It just shouldn't be the case that anyone, anywhere, at any time has so much wealth while other people are basically living like paycheck to paycheck even. Forget about the homelessness. Forget about the poverty. Forget about the destitution, right? If there is one person in your society living paycheck to paycheck and they're just scraping by, then a person with $1 million is a total aberration. Like, and yes, I think then it should be that narrow, because I think that humans are too stupid to handle any amount of power whatsoever. And how I know this society is desperately stupid and is incapable of being adult or serious about these issues is that they'll say till they're blue in the face, they'll defend the system of democracy because it's a series of checks and balances, and you don't want centralized power, right? They'll scream till they're red in the face about we need to decentralize power, and if there's centralized power, centralized political authority is authoritarian, and that's wrong, and we need to decentralize the power structure. That's why our system's the best. We have a Congress and a Senate and a Supreme Court and the presidency. It's a series of checks and balances. We have to decentralize power. But it's okay if a guy has $100 billion. So it's just stupidity. Like, and like, I don't know, like, I don't know what else to call it anymore. Like, I just don't know what else to call it. Like, these people are stupid. Like, demented, obviously. Just morons. They simply shouldn't have power. Like, they can have the degree to power that a human can handle at, like, the base level, and I would peg that at, like, $1 million. Anything over that, like, if you can't have a happy life with $1 million, then you have a problem. It's your problem. And any amount of money over $1 million means that you are making your problem everybody else's problem. And we're not interested in dealing with your problem. You should deal with your own problems. Like, no one should have more than $1 million, period, full stop. And people being like, oh, John, but a house is worth $1 million. So, yeah, it's worth $1 million right now in an infinite wealth collecting machine where a person can have $1 quadrillion, and we're all just like, that's good. We should decentralize power unless it's money. Then they can have infinite money. We are very smart and clever. Yes, we are. We like things that make us go. Did you see the hockey game? Did you see the game where we hit a puck around on some ice with a stick? That's what I spend all my time watching, because, guys, it makes it easy. Everything's fine when you're watching hockey. Oh, they should have done that thing. I know better than them, because I play junior hockey. Yeah, I once scored 3 goals in a single game. It's the greatest ever. Yeah, I won a trophy that day, and I'm the greatest. I think that Mark Carney's going to do a great job. Anyway, I got to go work for a guy I've never met at a place that I hate to go to every single day. And then when I come home, I just sleep and get drunk, and then I go do it again. And this is society. This makes sense. And so we're not going to recover. We're just not going to recover. And we've created education systems that churn out stupid people, that institutionalize people into a society of stupidity. Like, our children are being institutionalized into structures that are designed on purpose to destroy them. And we're all like just going along with that. So, and nobody seems to care. Like, that's the crazy part, right? Like, nobody just seems to give 2 shits about it at all, even. Like, there's just, as we say, there's just that sense of resignation, just that sense of like, oh, well, I guess the West will just collapse. And it will. Like, you just can't run a society this way. It's just not possible. It would be like trying to run a business by giving products away for free. Like, it doesn't function. Right? Governments can do that. Why? Because governments print money. Like, governments control currencies. Right? Businesses can't do that. This is why I remember when I was growing up. When I was growing up, I would offer these, like, why don't we just create a crown corporation? And all of the capitalists around me, who I now see as extremely dim-witted morons, would say, well, if you did that, then we wouldn't be able to compete. And I remember as a kid just being like, oh, I guess, and that sort of silenced me. But really, looking back on it, I should have just been like, yeah, so what? You can't compete with a superior model. Right, because it's a superior model, so it chases you out of the market, right? Because it's a superior model you can't compete with. Like, they just, like, outright confess to you. They just straight up just confess to you that their system fails and doesn't work. And they'll say it with this, like, sense of, like, pride, almost. Jefferson writes, down here, every child dreams of becoming an influencer. Every bad accident, murder, scandal in the news with people I've never heard about before is caused by an influencer, and it is downright scary. Yeah, because we're not, like, there's people can't make any money anymore. There's no such thing as, like, a workforce anymore, right? All the jobs are literally just, like, give people cookies. Like, find where there's a pocket of rich people and put, like, a refreshment stand in a park nearby. And that's considered an economy, right? And everything's just being sucked out of these places, and everything's just being siphoned away from communities. And so kids are trying to find whatever opportunity exists. Right? That's something, like, one of the big lies of capitalism is that people do things for profit, right? It's like, not really. Like, people follow whatever opportunities are in front of them for a vast array of reasons, right? And if you're living in a society where there are no opportunities, which, like, welcome to the West, there's no more opportunities here. All the opportunities were shipped off overseas. So if you're living in a land where there's no opportunities, there's no capital for anyone, the banks aren't loaning money, everything's just a big giant clampdown and everything's just a big scam, then, like, a kid, like a 16-year-old, 17-year-old kid is just like, okay, well, where is their opportunity? How do I gain any kind of traction at all? And once you accept that the primary resource that exists in this ridiculous fail son of an economy is attention, right? Keeping people's attention is is an opportunity. Like, take someone like Mr. Beast, right? I think Mr. Beast is like the greatest example of this. That and Mr. Beast is actually like a perfect example of what when we're talking about the systemic failing of capital. Because near as I can tell, Mr. Beast is just like a dude, right? Like, he's not a bad man, he's not a good man, he's just a dude. And like, he's just trying to do things, and sometimes he does things out of the goodness of his heart, and sometimes he just, fucks around. But that's because he has just keyed in and sacrificed himself to the idea that it's an attention-based economy. All I need to do is get people's attention and keep their attention. And so how do I keep people's attention? Big, gigantic spectacles. Just big, enormous, ridiculous spectacles. For the first time ever, we're going to have 500 people wait in a room until they can't anymore. Like, we're going to have a guy live in a grocery store, and every day he needs to gather $5,000 worth of goods from the grocery store, and we'll slowly clean out this grocery store over time. And every day he stays here, he's going to get $10,000. So it's just like, it's just a spectacle piece. It's just like a ridiculous, like, I can't believe they're even doing this. And that's Mr. Beast. Just have people watch over and over again, and then take the money that we make from this and do another one, and take the money, and just keep this like cycle going. And it's utterly wasteful and completely stupid. That if we literally just like took the money that this guy was generating and instead put it into a cycle of like feeding people. Like, forget about the gamification of it all. Forget about all of that. Just literally like take that money, give to people, feed them. Like, but we can't seem to manage that. We can't seem to square that circle because we're too stupid. We're not intelligent at all. And the worst of us, the worst of us here in the West, are the people who actually think they're educated and intelligent. Those people are the absolute worst. Like, the people who think that they have a PhD in something, and so that they're actually smart. If you say so, champ. Like, I think that we have a lot of well-educated dimwits around here. Because, again, our issues are systemic. Our issues are deeply entrenched in the systemic nature of our society. That we're training people to be illiterate and stupid. And we're very successful at that. We're very successful at that. That we are unwise. Jefferson says, yeah, exactly. A famous meme quote here in our social media is that school kids hope they won't grow up to become a salaryman. Basically someone with an official work contract. Well, and especially because, like, the official work contracts suck. Right? Like, we're no longer, like, you can't buy anything. Like, you can't get a house. Like, I don't know why anybody would work a 9-to-5 job 5 days a week. Like, why would anyone do that? Like, I think those people are fucking lunatics. Like, I watch somebody work like 5 days a week, 9-to-5, constantly going to an office. I'm just like, why? Like, what do you hope to achieve? You can't get a house. Like, you can't buy property. Like, you can barely get time off to go on vacation. Like, what's your end game here? Like, what's your goal? And, like, how does everybody not just suddenly go, oh yeah, like, this whole endeavor is completely pointless. So I'm just gonna go to like 3 days a week, get my basic bills paid for, and just keep trundling on. And Yeah, formal education closes more minds than it opens. Absolutely, that's its job. That's what it's there to do. It's there to make sure that kids are indoctrinated into a system that's abandoning them and has failed them. Like, that's so obviously what it's doing. And uh, uh, and there's like, and it's going to get worse. I think that's the important thing to understand. It's going to get way, way worse and way more obvious and way stupider. Like, you're going to have like a whole generation. Like, one of the saving graces of it is that it's going to get so stupid that even the kids won't believe it. Like, that's going to be like, you'll have a segment of the population, of course, that will buy into anything because they're just too dim-witted to understand basic critical thinking skills, right? And that will teach them basic critical thinking skills, but those basic critical thinking skills will always be directed at proving the thesis that capitalism is good and that you need to be a good capitalist, right? And that anybody who uses critical thinking skills against the system of capital will be just labeled as a radical, right? So much potential, see me after class, that kind of thing. Like, if you actually say out loud in an education system, hey, I don't think the system of capital has any value. I think the people who are running it should have their power stripped, and we should remove all their assets, and in fact remove them from public life entirely. Like, they should be in prison cells, for sure. Like, the people who are at the head of the fossil fuel industry, the people who are the CEOs, the people who are the shareholders, right? They should all of them be arrested and sent to prison cells. Like that, and I don't think that that's even a radical position anymore, right? Joe writes, how would that stripping of power actually be initiated? Yeah, you would need thousands of people to surround the halls of power. Like, that's what I've been saying this for years. I've been saying it all along, pretty much from day one, that we are not going to resolve any of these issues until, like, millions of people have surrounded the halls of power. Like, until we all fully understand as citizens of Canada and the United States that the Democrats, the Republicans, the Liberals, the Conservatives, the NDP, the Green, they have no credibility and they have lost the right to govern and lost the right to rule. Like, and that even the system itself has lost its credibility and has lost the right to govern us on a systemic level. That we no longer worship our constitutions. We say straight out, these constitutions are no longer valid and are incredulous. And we simply do away with them, and the people who are involved in it are banished. Like, that's the only way it's actually going to happen. Because anything else will just be corrupted. Hall writes, if you don't even have the capital, how is capitalism even beneficial? Oh yeah, it ain't about us, but them. Yeah, and I think that you're hitting on the religious side of it, right? That there is like a religious aspect of this. That humanity, like, capitalism is a world religion. It's one of the most pernicious and one of the largest. You might have been able to, at some point, describe it as a science, in the same way that phrenology is a science, or used to be considered a science. But it's been so heavily discredited at this point, and it's so baseless. It just has no basis in reality anymore, that the only people who are really bought into it are people who are explicitly benefiting from it, from the structure that exists, or people who have just completely bought into a religious ideology. And this is why they can't actually defend the system of capital using, like, mathematics or observing reality, right? That they constantly have to fall into, like, ethics or morality arguments, right? You just need to work harder. You're just jealous. Oh, you're just envious of what other people have. Like, not really engaging seriously with the subject. And you can see this over and over again. Like, that's why clowns like Peterson can get dunked on by, like, teenagers, because they're not intelligent people and they're not actually engaging meaningfully with reality. And like, imagine if when phrenology was discredited, instead of all of the institutions closing down and instead of people pivoting, everybody just doubled down and we're just like, no, phrenology is correct. And we're going to make phrenology the peak of everything. And Queen Victoria makes her head scientist a phrenologist, and everything gets funneled into our existence through this very tight, narrow view of phrenology. And when you go to get a loan at a bank, they take cranium measurements, and they're like, well, I don't know about this cranium. Seems pretty suspect, right? It'd be like that. Like, that's the world we live in. We live in this hyper-religious ideology that pretends as though the system of capital has any credibility or value to the society. And the reason why the people that defend the system of capital is because they're just worshiping wealth. That there's a small group of rich people, and if I do well by them, they'll bestow gifts upon me. Right? It's that kind of thinking. If I say what the papacy says, then I'll be blessed by Jesus. It's the exact same kind of thinking. So when you get into this like hyper-religious death cult, which is what this is a death cult. It's completely designed to destroy you, your family, your children, the cities, the structures within the cities. Like every level, from the very bottom to the very top, is designed to consume itself and destroy itself as a death cult. And we all just continue participating. That when the system of capital says anything, the first thing we don't seem to say is, yeah, but you're a fraudulent liar, obviously. Like, anytime the New York Times publishes anything, you should read a headline and be like, okay, let's see what the fraudulent liars or just the incredulous religious acolytes have to say. Because the system is, like, so discredited. Like, there's no such thing as, like, an economist, you know? Like, if the people who are studying economics were actually economists, they would just be Marxists, right? But they're not. And why are they not? Because they're well studied in a religious ideology that failed 50 years ago, right? So they're just like phrenologists, and that's where we are. And so when you end up with this, and like, for God's sakes, here in Canada, the leader of Canada right now is Mark Carney, a Bank of Canada governor, and a former governor of the Bank of England. Like, he's a banker. He's a central banker. And so you read his book, Values, and it's just like straight up like, the system is fine as it is, we just need to be a little nicer. It's straight up what he says. And it's like, what a dimwit. What a stupid person. Like, what a moronic, out-of-touch loser. The issues that we're facing are systemic. We're looking at systemic issues. Doesn't matter how nice you are. The system is structured to fail. And it will fail. And we'll watch it fail. And as it's failing, I'm just going to be like, there's that thing that I said was happening. And instead of everybody or anybody going, maybe we should have a serious discussion about the structural nature of our society. Maybe we should have a serious discussion about landlords, land ownership, asset ownership. Maybe we should have serious discussions about whether it's a good idea to allow even a single billionaire into the society. Maybe we should have these very serious and frank discussions. Instead of that, we're just going to be scared little monkeys and join a bunch of cults and just, like, get really, like, I got mine. I got mine. Stay away. Like, that's how it's going to be. And so you're going to see separatist movements, right? Like the one that's fomenting in Alberta and the one that's fomenting in Quebec. You're going to see separatist movements. You're going to see more and more people get on board with the idea that these federal governments have no credibility, because guess what? They don't. They have no credibility. Radio, good to see you, my man. Jefferson writes, I find this religious aspect of capitalism disturbing. See, this week Rubio announced the U.S. will not veto passports for foreign people officials that impede American laws in foreign countries. This is in response to the Brazilian Supreme Court that is judging Bolsonaro's crimes and also investigating Elon Musk about his fake news business, and because of his direct attacks to Brazilian laws. Yeah, there's no laws, dude. Like, there's just no... Thing is, only right-wingers in Brazil talk anymore how our judges can't go to Disney anymore. No, there's just like... There's just no laws. Like, there's no... We don't live in a system of laws. Nobody cares anymore about these laws. The only people who care about laws are people who care about the rule of law. Like, the only reason these guys are speaking within the language of law is to keep you busy, right? Like, they don't care about the law. That they're just going to do whatever they want, and then you're going to be the one that kicks up a fuss about it, and you're going to be the one that tries to create problems, and you're going to be the one that goes along. But these guys know that it's going to take, like, years and years for any court system to come around on them. And by then, they'll have bounced off to some new game, right? Because they have so much wealth and so much capital that they don't... You can't keep up with these guys, right? Like, when it turns out that when they said they didn't want any government regulation, they were serious about it. They meant no government regulation. That laws exist for you. Like, they want to pass laws that you have to follow. They have no intention of following those laws. And so the idea that there are laws anymore, where? At what time? According to who? Like, whose laws? Like I just really think, like Jefferson, I think it's at this point that you're really starting to understand, or you're maybe starting to hear me, when I actually say there is no credible institution in the West anymore. That there's no institution that's interested in maintaining laws. There's no institution that's interested in improving quality of life. There's no institution that's interested in fighting for the credibility of the legal system. That everything is basically just a scam. What can I get away with? Right? And these institutions that exist, theoretically, like the court system, to be of a benefit to you, they will not. They just won't. Like, they're going to be so overwhelmed. They're going to be so crushed. And they're going to be so bureaucratic, and they're going to be so difficult. Like, you might have, like, good people working within those systems trying to get the thing that they're theoretically there to do done, but they're going to fail. Because, like, you can't empty out a leaking boat with your hands. Like, if the boat is leaking and you need, like, a pump to get the water out of the boat, right, and the boat's steadily sinking, and you need, like, gallons and gallons of water gone per second in order to keep the boat floating, and all you're doing is paddling out with your hands. And so they're just overwhelmed. Yeah, Joe writes, Rubio wants to kick Chinese students out of the country in the name of anti-communism. Yeah. Just another, like, decline moment. Like, people are not going to go to America anymore. Like, as America goes full-blown Nazi, and they will, like, the Nazism is coming, and it's going to come in, like, a really... It's going to really shock people, you know? Like, people are going to be really shocked to see, like, the full-blown Nazism happen in America. It's 100% coming, though. Like, we've been flirting with it for decades. Like, when George W. Bush murders 1 million people in the Middle East, in Iraq, right? Holds up that mission accomplished sign, right? Like, anytime you hear these State of the Union addresses, like, these things are pretty much right in line with what's going on in Nazi Germany, right? And now they're just, like, doing a full-scale genocide directly in front of your face. But we're not at full-scale Nazism yet. We will. We absolutely will. And we're already seeing the Nazi salute show up. We're already seeing the symbolism show up. We're already seeing it being integrated into the system of power. And it just won't be much longer. It probably won't be Trump, right? But it'll be the people that follow Trump up, where all of their creepy pedophilic rituals that they do with their Jeffrey Epstein friends, right? They'll just start to do in public. Like, take a look at somebody like Kanye West, right? Like, take a look at somebody like Kanye West and the things that Kanye West have been doing. And then just be like, yeah, now imagine that's the president of the United States. Like, it's coming. Jefferson says, yes, I agree. One thing you said that stuck to me was about how Trump got away with everything because the Supreme Court basically said the president is a king. Yeah, like, this is what I mean. Like, there's no credibility anymore. Like, you don't need to follow these laws. Like, there are no laws. There's just declarations that these thugs are making, telling you what they'll punish you for. But they themselves will never follow those laws, right? Because they're not laws, they're threats. And that's all they are. They're just threats. And so you're not obliged morally to follow them. Joe writes, he's still pissed about what Fidel Castro did to his relatives. A full-bore left-hating idiot. Yeah. No, Gusano, right? XD writes, xenophobic Americans helping Chinese people, especially those who bought into the propaganda, see America for what it is. I mean, you just have to start asking, like, why is America constantly blowing countries up? Like, why is it constantly invading and destroying people? Like, why? Is this actually the best way to go about this? Does this even work? Is this something that we're interested in? And then you just steadily realize, like, oh, they're just doing it so they can steal resources. And they don't actually care about the people there. They don't actually care about the politics of it. They don't care about any of that, right? Their justifications are just lies. That they're just thieves. That they want an oil field. And so they're going to go in there and they're going to get it, right? They want a lithium mine or a cobalt mine. And so they're going to go in there and they're going to get it. And they're not interested in negotiating with the people that live there. The people that live there are just in the way, right? And that the settler colonial mindset, like, it all does circle back around. This to me is why the West is fundamentally doomed, is because we have intrinsically adopted and intrinsically, like, it's built inside of us. It's part of who we are as a people. To be settler colonialists. And the thing that is happening, like, how to describe this properly? We are erecting a new power structure. Like, it's happening, and it's happening very swiftly. It's going to be like cop cities and like all that. And the billionaire class is going to rule from, like, bunkers and things like this. Big gated communities, nobody will be able to interact with it. And so what we've done is we've created a new tier of governance and rulership, the oligarchy, that are in turn colonizing us, right? So we colonized this land and ethnically cleansed it in order to seize the assets, seize the land. And from that settler colonial project, we erected a series of institutions, businesses, oligarchs, who now are in turn recolonizing us. That America is turning into an occupied country. And it'll be occupied by a police force and a military that operates exclusively on behalf of an oligarchy. And that's 100% the goal of a settler colonialist society, is that you always need to be colonizing somebody, and you always need to be colonizing some new land or some new territory. And they're always looking to colonize. So they're building these cop cities so that the power structure can recolonize each state. And while they're doing that, they have an education system that's actively seeking to colonize your mind. Right? That you are living in a state of complete attack and assault at all times. And we have just completely bought into it. And so it's not shocking at all that the West can't seem to get out of this pattern and can't seem to stop itself. And the rest of the world is starting to piece this together. Yeah, they're too stupid to consider harmony. Well, they don't really consider the people that live in like the Middle East or the global South as people, right? That it's the same old racist arguments that were used when we were literally ethnically cleansing the First Nations people. Like we would literally eradicate the First Nations people while saying this is for their own good. That they're savages and they need to be civilized. Like we literally made these arguments. This is straight up, and like priests being like this is the Bible supports this action and all this kind of nonsense, just this crazy lunatic bullshit, and we're not stopping. And so, in many ways, I look at where we are heading as the West, and I actually do think it's going to be a positive thing. Like, obviously, for the people who are living through it, it's going to be horrifying. But the West needs to be isolated. Like, we really need, especially America. Like, America is like the beating heart of the whole thing. It's like we literally created a genocide here. Like, it's like we're talking about, right now we're talking about the Gaza genocide. But, like, America is a genocide zone. It's just straight up, we ethnically cleanse this place. And we have, like, little zoos we call reserves where we keep the First Nations people so we can point at them and be like, these people used to live here before we came and eradicated them. And we're not... and we're never going to stop that. And so the rest of the world needs to realize that we're never going to stop that we are constantly going to be seeking out how to enslave people, how to incarcerate people, how to murder people en masse, to steal their resources. We're constantly going to do that. And the rest of the world is starting to figure it out, right? Like it takes a minute. It takes people time to figure these things out. They're starting to figure it out. Like, the CIA is not as effective as it used to be. And a big reason why the CIA is not as effective as it used to be is that people have clued in to the existence of the CIA. That for a few decades there, the CIA kind of had this benefit of the doubt, and they could mess with people and call people conspiracy theorists, come up with like, you think that's a real thing? Oh, what a kooky loser, all this. Well, but now if you don't think the CIA is involved, then you're the stupidest person alive. Like, there's nobody stupider than a person who's like, you think the CIA is a thing? It's like, yes, obviously. I can literally go to the CIA website and see decades and decades of them doing the very thing that we're talking about now. And so just that fact, the fact that all of the like plausible deniability is now gone, has made the CIA a lot less effective. Because now, instead of needing to break through this whole, like, hey, I think the CIA is involved. What? You think the CIA? What evidence do you have? That seems, what an overwhelming. Oh, my God. Now the conversation is, hey, I think the CIA is involved. Yeah, obviously the CIA is involved. We just need to find out how. That's it. And, like, we saw Thomas Sankara. We saw Gaddafi. Like, we saw these moments happen. Like, we've seen Allende. Like, we've seen it. And not only that, it's published on the CIA website. So now if you're like an African leader, like if you're this Ibrahim guy in Burkina Faso, you're sitting there being like, okay, cool. Who's the CIA? Where's the CIA? How do we deal with the CIA? Where are they? And instead of people being like, oh, I think he's being paranoid, they're literally like, yeah, we got to protect ourselves against the CIA. They're obviously around. Who are they? Where are they? Who are they funding? Right? And so I think it's because it's all taken seriously now, and people have stopped acting like dimwits or that they're surprised by it, that it's become less effective, and that's going to continue happening until eventually, like, people in Africa or Latin America are just straight up going to be like, oh, there's one American involved in your project, we're out. Like, and that's going to happen. Like, people are literally going to, like, you're going to have a situation where you have, like, the French are going to talk to Madagascar, and the French will be like, hey, Madagascar, you just discovered some, let's say, thorium reserves in Madagascar. I'm inventing this. This is not a real thing. Can we get access to your thorium? And the Madagascarians will be like, oh, okay, let's get into trade negotiations. And then they'll be like, on the team that the French send over to negotiate with the people from Madagascar, there'll be one person who comes from Harvard, who is an American from, like, Colorado. And the people from Madagascar will be like, oh, there's an American on your team? Yeah, no deal. We're out. Hard no. And that'll just start to happen. Because if I'm from Madagascar, like, I just can't afford it. Like, I can't afford that. I can't afford to have a CIA spook come in here. I can't afford to open up the door for a CIA spook. And if you're from America, that's going to be enough for most people, I think. Especially as, like, the Chinese connection picks up and people are like, why do I need America? Like, for a long time, people were stuck with America. Like, they were just dealing with America. Well, that's coming to an end. People don't need to deal with America anymore. And in fact, in the cost-benefit analysis, if you need to keep it in strictly economic terms, people are starting to say it's just not worth the risk. The Americans come in. The Americans come in and they bring too much baggage. Timothy writes, the same kind of crap happened in California's missions. XD writes, but we had 8 decades. I think it's still concerning how many people outside the West can just willingly look past America's crimes as if their own country's crimes are even on par. But I think that what you're tapping into, XD, is like that sense of resignation. Like, you can acknowledge that America is like this demon force, but what are you going to do about it? Like, you got to deal with them. And that's how it's been for a long time for a lot of people, I think. A lot of people have just been like, well, what are we going to do about that? What can we do? Like, for real, what can we actually do? Like, America rolls in with $1 trillion worth of hardware and plops it in the center of town. Okay. And it's only, like, extremely recently, like within this last decade, that people have been like, hold on a second, wait a minute, time out. We can deal with China. China's actually making good on the things that it's promising. It's actually, like, making pretty decent, reasonable deals. So I think that you have, like, I think we should be more forgiving of people who have been caught in a system where they're forced to deal with a raving psychopath, right? Like, that, and just acknowledge that that's the true nature of the discussion. Like, America is a raving psychopath. And up until extremely recently, most nations have been forced to deal with them. And now they have an opportunity to not. And many of them are taking it. Because who wants to continue negotiating with a psychopathic, drooling maniac? Like, here in Canada, we don't have that fortune. We have to negotiate with these psychos. Like, we have to. And it's a big reason why Canada is in the decline that it's in. Because if Canada actually did start to act like a rational, reasonable place that actually gave a shit about its own citizens, like, America just very recently threatened annexation against us. Like, if we actually started to take care of our citizens in any regard, oh, communism has taken hold in Canada and we got to make sure we get up there and, like, for sure. Mark Jr. writes, the CIA was heavily involved in the 4chan's forums, and I'm sure they're all over social media and other forums. For sure they are. No, for sure they are. Mark, I don't buy into conspiracy theories. Like, I used to think that they're kind of entertaining. Now I sort of see that they're mainly just a waste of everybody's time. and in some cases intellectually corrosive. Like, if you can believe the earth is flat, then you can believe anything you like. Like, if you think these things are real, then you might just be a very stupid person, right? And a type of stupidity that is, like, socially dangerous. We shouldn't permit it. You shouldn't be allowed to say the earth is flat. Like, you just shouldn't. If you say that kind of thing, it should send you to, like, a place where you receive a new education. We should pay people to receive a new education, because obviously the education they received didn't work. Like, you think the earth is flat? Like, literally send them to space. This is how important this one is to me. Literally just put them in a rocket, send them to space, and be like, bear witness. But there is one conspiracy theory that I absolutely buy into. I don't have, like, the smoking gun, but all the pieces are there, which is, I think that people are being hypnotized through social media apps and through smartphones. I think that there is we know that you can be hypnotized through screens. We know that you can incept ideas into people through this method. Psychology Today has released articles saying that 15% of the society are susceptible to this. 20% of the society is immune. So that means the remaining portion of the society is not immune to it, but isn't, like, fully susceptible to it. So has a degree to which they can be affected by this. And I think that what they're doing is they are incepting emotional responses to trigger words, right? So if somebody says the word welfare, then all of a sudden all reason shuts off. You're not capable of understanding anything. You just have a very virulent, passionate, emotional response to words like communism, socialism, right? That's why Bernie Sanders was such big news, because the CIA lost control of that buzzword, of that trigger word. That socialism was no longer evoking the emotional response that they wanted. And so, and, like, while this is a conspiracy theory, it's, like, perfectly in line with everything we discovered from the Church Commission. And the idea that they've just stopped doing it, like, I think that that's baby brain. So they're clearly doing these things. They're clearly doing this kind of stuff. And that a certain percentage of the population is immune to it. And a certain percentage of the population is hyper sensitive to it. And I think that you're seeing that manifestation happening in our society, where you can ask a question to a group of people like, hey, do you think a portion of our resources should be used to help people in the society who are in poverty? And if you ask that question, most people will be like, yeah, I do. Like, that seems correct, right? We're a very rich country. We can take care of this stuff. But if you ask the question, hey, do you think people should receive welfare? Then all of a sudden it's, people handouts and people need to take responsibility for themselves, right? And so I think that I 100% think that the CIA is, and if we do it, like, what's going to happen is, as these systems start to collapse, in order to attempt to regain some kind of credibility, there'll be, like, another Church Commission that happens for some reason, because it'll all come out that, like, the CIA is completely tied up with the Jeffrey Epstein bullshit, and eventually there'll be enough energy where they're just like, no, we need to do, like, a proper Church Commission of this. And so they will, and it'll all just come out that, like, yeah, they're obviously, like, manipulating people's minds, and they're obviously manipulating media, like, obviously. Yeah, it's that brainwashing you've talked about before. Like, the word communism spooks people. Yeah, like it's like the word Voldemort, right? Like it's what's happened. Like, there's, like, a he who should not be named kind of quality about it, and you can see the script, right? There is a script. You guys have seen me talk to people, and you see the script as it unfolds, right? That immediately when you start talking communism, the very first question is, well, what about the atrocities? And then you're just like, okay, when, where? And the moment you start asking them those questions, you realize, oh, you don't really know anything. Like, all you know is a couple of buzzwords. I don't know how to pronounce your name, bud, over on Twitch. Adiblemelieur. Adiblemelieur. Adib. I'm going to call you Dib, bud. Please correct me on that pronunciation, because that's so silly of me. You write, hi, I just joined. You are pro or anti-Israel? My position of Israel is perfectly in line with the ICC's position, which is that they are a genocidal nation committing a genocide against people whose land that they are occupying and stealing. And that has been the case for decades and decades. And that people like Benjamin Netanyahu should, at bare minimum, go to jail. You write, pronounced Adib. Glad to hear we completely agree on this issue. He needs to be imprisoned. Yeah, absolutely. You and I are going to be good friends. We're going to get along very well. Because, like, and we're looking at, like, just to be completely clear, right? Like, this isn't one of these things where it's like the power structure needs to go and then we'll replace it with new leadership and everything will be hunky-dory. Like, 82% of Israelis back the Gaza ethnic cleansing. Like, we're really... Like, there's a... The survey also indicates that 65% believe in the contemporary relevance of Amalek, a biblical enemy of the Israelites. So we're really at the point now, there's a biblical story. It's the story of Sodom and Gomorrah, where Lot is sent into Sodom and Gomorrah. No, sorry, Abraham is sent into Sodom and Gomorrah in order to find his son Lot. And he encounters an angel before he goes in. And the angel says, I'm going to destroy Sodom and Gomorrah. I'm permitting you to go in and go find your family and get them out. And Abraham says, what if I find 50 good people? Will you spare Sodom and Gomorrah? And the angel says, if you can find 50 good people, I'll spare Sodom and Gomorrah. And then Abraham steadily talks him down until finally the angel is like, yeah, okay, if you can find 10 good people, I'll save Sodom and Gomorrah. I'll spare them on their behalf if you can find them. And the whole time you're in the conversation, you're just like, this angel knows exactly what's happening there. There's not 10 good people in Sodom and Gomorrah. And sure enough, Abraham goes in there, finds his family, they escape, and the people of Sodom and Gomorrah are like cannibalistic rapists. And as they're fleeing, the cities are destroyed by fire from the sky. Like, that's kind of where we're at, where it's like, yeah, find me 10 good people. Who are the good people? And the struggle that is existing in Israel is that now it's institutionalized. Children are taught that Palestinians are animals. So it's like a grotesque form of cultural brainwashing that has been inflicted. That the children of Israel are also victims because they're being brainwashed by genocidal maniacs in order to perpetuate a genocide on their behalf. Adib says, I noticed the flag in the background. So cool. Thank you. I'm originally from Syria. Syria going through some crazy stuff right now. What an experience Syria is having. I know people from Syria, and they describe it as bittersweet. That there's like a bittersweetness. That people from Syria just seem to not be in favor of where it's landed. But they're also not that sad to see the previous leadership go, right? So it's kind of like that, where it's like, yeah, we didn't really like this guy. He was, I'm forgetting his name all of a sudden. He's he was just like an inheritor of power. We didn't really like him. Assad. Yeah, Assad. Yeah, I can see how the people of Syria would just be like, bye Assad, and then turn to their new leader and the new power structure and be like, okay, now we're dealing with this, right? Like I don't talk to many Syrians or many people from Syria who are like, and now we've got new leadership, and that leadership will lead us into the bright shining star of Allah or whatever, right? Like it really is just this sense of like, haha, get fucked, Assad. And then everybody turns and looks at the new guy and is like, okay, now we're dealing with you. And the new guy is like, the big flashing red light from my perspective is that the new guy is, he's essentially a American stooge, right? Like Saddam. And my gut tells me that the same exact story of Saddam Hussein will happen to this guy. Again, I forget his name. Syria is one of those places that I don't spend that much time paying too much attention to. It's there's just too much happening in that region, really. Al-Jolani, yeah. All I really know about this guy is that he's, or we're also seeing Al-Shara. All I really know about this new guy is that they have the backing of the United States. And that should be enough to tell you, like, bad situation is coming, right? Like, it'll look exactly like Saddam Hussein. Saddam Hussein was put into power in Iraq by Americans. It was the American power structure that backed him and put him in power. And then finally had to deal with him, right? Because it turns out that once you become the leader of a country, you actually try to lead that country, right? And Saddam Hussein had the absolute audacity to actually try to lead his country. And one of the things that's really kind of hilarious to do is go back and watch, like, anti-Saddam Hussein media, right? Like, you have, like, movies like The Naked Gun, where Saddam Hussein, like, shows up out of nowhere and suddenly they're in a fist fight. The South Park movie, Saddam Hussein was, like, a partner with the devil, like, with Satan himself. Like, and then you take a look at it from, like, a historical perspective and you're just like, Saddam Hussein was, like, the leader of some desertous, kind of rinky-dinky, like, why was anyone ever afraid of this guy? What did this guy really represent? Why was he ever considered a threat? Right? Like we're talking about a guy who was being represented in our media as somebody who was aligned with Satan himself. And who was considered this, like, deadly power that, oh God, every American should be terrified of this guy. And you go take a look at him and you're just like Iraq was never a threat to the West, ever, under any circumstances. Like, what threat could Saddam Hussein have posed to anyone? Like, for real, like, what could he have done to anyone? And, like, his big moves were that he, like, invaded his neighboring country. You know, okay, so if I lived in Kuwait, I might be like, yeah, Saddam Hussein, right? But if I live in Nebraska, or if I live in Florida, like, what do I give a fuck about this guy at all? Like, that's why I'm immediately skeptical of anything the power structure is showing me. Like, if they want me to know who a person is, I'm immediately skeptical about why they want me to know who this person is. Like, the move that the power structure will do to actually dangerous people is they'll omit them, like they're doing to Greta Thunberg right now. Right? Greta Thunberg has been chased out of the media completely. You can't find anything about her any longer. She's just non-existent in the conversation anymore. And that's the move, right? The power structure, why do they want you to know who Saddam Hussein is? Why do they want you to know who these people are? right? So that they can have their boogeyman. Yeah, Austin, but they had WMDs. That's why they made people afraid. Yeah. Anybody remember Juan Guaido? Yeah, exactly. Friggin' Juan Guaido, dude. That's hilarious. The the WMD lie. Like that's one of those things that I'm just like, I cannot believe that anybody is walking around believing that anybody has any credibility whatsoever. Like, you see media personnel and they're all confused. Like, why don't people trust the media anymore? I'm like, because you're fraudulent liars? Like, just very obviously, you're just fraudulent liars. All you actually do is lie. All you do is distort the truth. Like, take a look at how they're reporting on this genocide. Take a look at how they're reporting on, like, obvious corruption. Take a look at how they're reporting on literally any subject. All the language is couched. All the language. It's not a genocide. It's a event of some kind. Like, they always find fancy language or some kind of turn of phrase in order to deflect away. And they'll do this with economics. Like, remember quantitative easing? Just literally give rich people money, and that's quantitative easing. Right? So they find some kind of esoteric phrasing, right? That's what they did to climate change. It used to be global warming. And then they were like, but climate change sounds nicer. And it's less scary for people. So we'll call it climate change. Right. Like, yeah, they are PR flax more than anything now. Yeah, but and millions upon millions upon millions of people still listen to them and still pay attention to them, even though these organizations have nakedly and blatantly lied to them, not got it wrong, lied, not told the story incorrectly, lied, not said, oh, we got our information incorrectly and we actually have this other information, but literally bald-facedly, nakedly stood in front of you and peddled something they knew was false. Like, I don't know why people turn on CNN. I don't know why people turn on Fox. I don't know why people turn on MSNBC. I don't get it. Like, I don't know why anybody's actually listening to these places as if they're credible news sources anymore, because they're not. And yet, we're constantly in this state of needing to remind people, hey, these people are fraudulent liars, right? All they've ever done to you is lie to you in big, gigantic, obvious, overt, extraordinarily fraudulent ways. And they're not even really trying anymore. Like, I love this story, by the way, because it's just like so emblematic of what's happening in America. This guy stole $10 million from the employees of his nursing home to buy himself a luxury yacht and Cartier watches. He pled guilty. And because his mom gave Trump $1 million, he just got a pardon. And this story barely makes the news today. Yeah, why would a PR team, like, why would Stenographers for Power want to point out how incredulous the system is now? Like, Donald Trump is literally being bribed daily. People are straight up just like, hey, Donald, here's $1 million. Can you pardon my son? And he's just like, absolutely. I can do that for sure. So, like, why are we still participating? Why do we still respect people who insist we should participate? Like, what I see is a culture, like if there were a group of guys in my town going around gang raping women, I wouldn't participate. And I would say, hey, we should do something about that. We should stop that. We should empower an institution to prevent that from happening. And if those guys insisted that I participate, I would not. And that's basically what our society is now. And so I don't understand why we tolerate anybody insisting we should participate in this society at all. And if they scoff at us and if they laugh at us and if they think that we're stupid, then that's just a condemnation of themselves. That they're incapable of understanding like the basic morality of the situation. Like, withdraw your participation. Stop participating. Stop aiding and abetting. Because that's all it is now. All of the tax money that you pay go to murder children. That's what it's for. It's not for anything else. Right? You're either literally sending the money directly to Israel in order to massacre children, or it's going into the pockets of some pedophile oligarch. Like, those are your options now. Because it's not going to your health care, right? It's not going to your roads. It's not going to your schools, right? And even if it is going to your schools, it's just like literally so that they can teach that black people we're always here and there was never a problem. Slavery doesn't exist. Like, stop participating in this. Drop out. Like, these people have nothing to teach you. Jefferson writes, one of my weird hobbies is to watch old media, like old movies. The Pink Panther is hilarious, but not because it's funny, but because the villain was Russian, and the red herring villain was Chinese. Yeah. Christ. Just as embarrassing as it gets. Just as absolutely cringeworthy as possible. Like, what's so wild about Westerners is like, this genocide is now like one of the most well-documented genocides in human history. That we have documentation from the IDF. We have documentation from Israel, right? Like we don't even need to use other sources. Like, we can just go to the social media pages of the IDF to find all of the evidence of this genocide we could ever possibly want. And now we're at a point, like, I've seen things have gotten so obvious and so indefensible now, is that I've seen people like Piers Morgan. Piers Morgan has straight up released a statement saying that now he considers this to be a genocide. This is no longer a both sides issue. And all it took was the wholesale destruction of Gaza, literally every building torn down, followed by a regime of starvation. Like, the phrase, there's no way to starve someone in self-defense, has really landed, I think. And we're finally starting to see people who have the privilege to not have to pay attention to this, both sidesing the issue, and finally now they're starting to say, okay, we can no longer both sides this issue. We have to actually acknowledge what this is. But of course, they acknowledge what it is and then sit on their hands and do nothing. Right? Because the real truth is that, like, England can say what it wants. France can say what it wants. Germany can say what it wants. Canada can say what it wants. But the real truth is that it's the Americans that are doing it. And if the Americans wanted it to stop, they could stop it. And they could stop it in a day. That's what has made this whole thing so despicable. And what has finally convinced me that we're just too stupid. And they think we're stupid. And they take advantage of how stupid we are. That, like, they genuinely would say things to us like, we're working towards a ceasefire. Pick up the phone and say, we'll stop funding you. That's how you work towards a ceasefire with these people. You don't try to negotiate with these people. You simply say, hey, you know that education system we're completely funding? It's totally subsidized by the American government. Yeah, we'll stop. Which, incidentally, they should. Right? They should stop funding Israel. Like, Caitlin Johnstone asking the important question, or making the important statement. If this is what Israel does, then Israel shouldn't exist. I'm actually going to read this one. Caitlin Johnstone is a real tour de force person. Gaza's youngest social media influencer has been killed by Israeli forces after touching tens of thousands of lives with her stories of survival in the besieged Palestinian territory. Her name was Yakin Yamad. She was 11 years old. Israeli forces fired upon starving civilians in Gaza on Tuesday when they rushed inside a facility holding aid, reportedly killing 3 and wounding dozens more. The facility was operated by the Gaza Humanitarian Foundation, the latest U.S.-Israeli scheme to bypass normal UN aid distribution and lure Gaza's population into specific, concentrated locations. A new report from the Associated Press confirms that Israeli forces have been using Palestinians as human shields in Gaza as a matter of policy. This is actually using human shields in the very real sense of deliberately forcing civilians between yourself and potentially enemy fire. Not in the fake sense of being somewhere near civilians as per the made-up human shields narrative that Israel uses to blame its daily massacres on Hamas. A survey of Jewish Israelis conducted by an Israeli polling firm has found that 82% of respondents support the total ethnic cleansing of Gaza, and 47% believe Israeli forces should kill every man, woman, and child in every city they capture there. Haaretz reports on the poll's finding. 65% said they believe in the existence of a modern-day incarnation of Amalek, the Israelite biblical enemy whom God commanded to wipe out in Deuteronomy 25:19. Among those believers, 93% said the commandment to erase Amalek's memory remains relevant today. These are just a few reports from the past few days, on top of all the other staggeringly evil things that Israel has been doing this whole time. If this is Israel, then Israel should not exist. If what we are seeing in Gaza is what it means for Israel to exist, then it shouldn't. People scream bloody murder when you say this, but it shouldn't be a controversial position. I'm not saying Jews shouldn't exist. I'm saying a genocidal apartheid state should not exist. A state is an artificial construct of the human mind, held together by human actions. If the actions we are witnessing in Gaza are the product of the artificial construct of the Israeli state, then that artificial construct should be dismantled, and those actions should cease. I would say this about any other man-made construct that is doing the things Israel is doing. If some scientists built a robot that spends all day, every day, massacring children, then I would say the robot should be unmade. If you drew a Star of David on the robot's head, it wouldn't suddenly make me an evil anti-Semite to say that the child-murdering robot should be dismantled. Dismantling the apartheid state of Israel would mean granting everyone citizenship and equal rights, allowing right of return, denazifying apartheid culture, paying extensive reparations, and righting the wrongs of the past. You could still call what remains Israel if you wanted to, but it would be nothing like the state that presently exists under that name. Would this upset the feelings of some Jewish people? Yes. Would it inconvenience the lives of some Jewish people? Certainly. But that would be infinitely preferable to the daily massacres, genocidal atrocities, and reckless regional warmongering we are witnessing from the State of Israel. Advocating the end of this genocidal state doesn't make someone a monster. Advocating its continuation does. The only way to believe otherwise is to take it as a given that Palestinian lives are worth less than Jewish feelings. Israel is currently presenting nonstop arguments for its own secession. Every video comes out showing Israelis acting in monstrous ways and innocent Palestinians being murdered, tortured, and abused in the most horrific ways imaginable, is an argument for which there is no verbal counter-argument. Every day that goes by, the genocidal apartheid state of Israel is proving to the world that it should not exist. And this has steadily become my position. Israel does not have the right to exist. Like, Israelis do not have the right to defend themselves. Like, what are you talking about? Like, an Israeli person certainly has the right to defend themselves, but this has nothing to do with self-defense anymore. Like, you just take a look at these pictures. You just take a look at the situation. And, like, the obvious lack of empathy, the psychopathic nature of the military. And this is the type of thing that's coming to your military, by the way, to your police forces. Right? Like, every single time you hear a story about these people, about police officers being trained by the IDF, right? That should raise a big red alarm inside of you. That psychopaths are training your police. And what are they training them to be? Psychopaths. Like, Land Phobie says Israel has a right to be tried for its crimes. Yeah, I would love that. I would love if Benjamin Netanyahu went to The Hague, right? I would love that. Let's see it happen. Like, let's see it happen. Where is it happening? How come it's not happening? Right? It's not happening because these institutions don't actually have any credibility. Right? That there is no such thing as a credible Western institution anymore. Like, we're all literally engaged in and funding genocide. You don't need to follow the laws of a country that's doing this. You don't need to pay attention to the things that its leaders say. Like, these people have no credibility whatsoever. And until Benjamin Netanyahu is incarcerated, has been tried, not has been arrested and is standing in the criminal court, until he is literally imprisoned at bare minimum, then these institutions continue to have no credibility. Like, the White House, the Senate, the Congress, the Supreme Court, these institutions have no credibility whatsoever and shouldn't be listened to as authorities. You should pay attention to them because they have the ability to threaten you, and that's the only reason you should pay attention to them. But until such time, you just live in a lawless wasteland that's steadily consuming itself and will continue to consume itself. And of course, while the genocide is happening, there's this story that happened. We have somebody over on Twitch, Gerard NL. Good to see you. Hope you're here to be beautiful. Crazy this has to be even clarified to some people nowadays is crazy to me, but genocide can never be justified, even if you have this gross and disgusting view that Palestinians are lesser or evil. No child is innately evil. How could you say any of this and just look away and shake it off? Yeah, I mean, I think that really what we are confronting is like the final form of what the religion of capitalism does, right? The religion of capital requires there to be a continuous, never-ending external threat. And as long as there's this continuous, never-ending external threat, then you can continuously and never-endingly expand into that external threat in order to steal their resources. That's the whole thing. And so the Palestinians have been made a boogeyman by the Israelis so that they have this perpetual justification to wage a never-ending war, right? And they're in a never-ending security crisis at all times. Because Israel is a settler colonial project. The goal of Israel is to take over more and more territory until finally they are the ruling organization or the ruling state within the Middle East. That's sort of the goal. And that's what we Westerners have been doing for almost 100 years now in the Middle East. And that requires vigilance and dedication. It requires that you dehumanize not just the people you want to murder, but dehumanize the people doing the murdering. What's really interesting about this story, 2 Israeli embassy staffers shot dead outside DC's Capital Jewish Museum, is how the mainstream media pays more attention to this story than the act of genocide that they're committed to. And nobody will actually point out what is nakedly obvious, right? Everybody's just going for the Brian Thompson, but he is a father. He was a father. We should have sympathy because he was a father. And I've even heard like leftist commentators who I like respect be like, what a disgusting act. Like, go to these people's Twitter page. Like this guy, right? Yaron Lishchinsky and Sarah Milgram. Go to their Twitter pages. They're Zionists. They're just Zionists. They're just pro-genocidal maniacs who think the Palestinians should have a genocide committed against them. So, like, say Nazi things, like play Nazi games, win Nazi prizes. Like, yeah, XD says any leftist who says that immediately goes from 100 to 0. Yeah, it does seem to be the case, doesn't it? Like we just like I have to assume that when they say these things, it's because they don't know who these people actually are. That all they're seeing is like an act of violence happening on their home soil and going, oh goodness, right? Not actually considering like, hey, did we just kill a couple of Nazis? Like, maybe, crazy thought, maybe if they didn't want to get shot, they shouldn't have been Nazis. I don't know. Maybe just my sort of thinking on the matter is like, maybe we shouldn't allow Nazis to just walk around our streets. Maybe we shouldn't just allow Zionists to just walk around on our streets. And like, maybe this kind of thing will finally convince people like, oh yeah, if I'm an open Zionist and I'm like publicly open about it, maybe I shouldn't just walk around in the streets. Maybe I shouldn't feel safe. I hope you don't. Like that to me is like the big benefit of all of that is that these Zionists need to be shown that they're not safe. They shouldn't be considered safe. The person, are they even going to give the name of this person? Just a man, right? After the shooting. Police identified the suspect in the shooting as Elias Rodriguez. So Elias Rodriguez is doing us all the favor of terrorizing Zionists. I'm fine with that. Zionists should not be able to walk around the streets safely. They should not feel safe walking around. When they show up places, they should be harassed. They should literally not be able to do anything. Like, I remember I watched a video recently where a guy wearing like an SS shirt, like a Nazi shirt, was at a punk show, and all the punks basically beat the shit out of him and threw him out. I'm like, that's what should happen to Zionists. It's no different. Like, Zionists are Nazis. They're one and the same. And so I just find it really weird that I'm not actually seeing anybody saying of this story, like, good. Like, I'm glad that Zionists are being tormented. Like, I'm glad that Zionists are afraid and scared, and I hope they are. Like, if I found out that someone in my building was a Zionist, I would not let them hear the end of that. Like, yeah, if I found out that somebody in my building was a Nazi, like, I would not make their life easy. I wouldn't go out of my way to help them. XD says, pretty weird that any leftist feels the need to pay lip service and bemoan their deaths. They could have just shut up. Like, who are you maintaining credibility for? Yeah. JT writes, props still. I don't really want to criticize, but the Nazi got a pat on the back too. Security escort. Yeah, I know what you're talking about. Like, No, we have no credibility any longer. Oh yeah, Landphobe says because endorsing it is probably illegal in most of the West. Yeah, that's a good point. Like we're living in a country now that if you try to boycott Israel, that's an arrestable offense, right? Like we're just giving up the idea completely that there's laws or a rule of law or freedom of speech, any of that kind of stuff. Like habeas corpus, like it's over, like it's over, and we're gonna have like a full blown, real, true, dyed in the wool, like Nazi moment, like the entire. There's going to be like a State of a Union address where the entire State of the Union will stand up and do the Nazi salute simultaneously. That is coming, right? Like and we're not interested in preventing it from happening as a people. We're just gonna keep, eating burgers made primarily of sawdust. Like everything we're going to consume is basically going to be like, how much sawdust can we put in this before we can't call it the thing it's supposed to be anymore? So you're going to eat your sawdust burgers and you're going to drink your sawdust coffee, right? And you're going to play some video games and watch some porn, right? And steadily the society is just bottoming out completely. And then all of a sudden one day your electricity will go out. And you'll be like, hey, what the heck? And then they'll be like, yeah, we've just decided that you don't need to have that anymore. We're requisitioning your resources for military service. And in fact, here's the draft. Like, it's all coming, man. Like, it's all coming. Crazy that history either views you as a vigilante or a terrorist, depending on which side of the war will end. Of course, innocent civilian casualties are never studied. But hate will keep existing if we keep funding a genocide. Yeah. Durandi asks, how's my day been, by the way? You know what? I've been very well. I set up some hives on a property. I'm a little bit worried that there's not enough flowers for them, but we'll see. We'll see. Bees have a pretty far radius that they can go, but it's also been like a very cold and rainy season, so it's just like they're taking a lot of time to grow and to build, but it is what it is. I'm very excited that I get to do that. I'm hopeful that that will manifest into something of note, something of benefit, something that I can actually focus my attention on, and something worthwhile. Because like I've given up on Westerners. Like I don't think that Westerners are rational or interested in being rational. Like I really think that that's where we're at. That we are a people that are seeking the destruction of our own children, and so I don't see any reason to participate in anything any Westerner thinks is correct or interested in trying to involve myself in anything any Westerner is trying to do, because I've just given up on them. And so my feeling is like, okay, well, what have I not given up on in this plane of reality? And I haven't given up on the forces of creation, on the ecosystems, on the life systems. And it's my goal to involve myself and to reinforce those life systems. That what I really want to do, so I've got these hives on this island, which is really great. And my goal is to just cover that island with hives and cover it with flowers and cover it with everything that can give life. Food, berry bushes, apple trees, just anything that provides food, anything that provides life. And to stop focusing at all on what these moronic Westerners are doing to themselves. Like, of course I have to pay attention to it because it's like right in front of your face, but I just don't have a horse in it anymore. Like I don't think that I don't think the West can recover. And so my focus and my change, and it's been quite uplifting actually to just be like, I am here for the bees. I'm here for the trees. I'm here for the nature. Because when we hit this brick wall that we're going to hit, and we are going to hit just a massive brick wall, it's going to be so huge. And we'll have seen it coming for decades and decades, and we're just going to crater into it. Like at full force. We'll literally throttle the gas forward as we crater into the wall. That's how hard we're going to hit this wall. And when that happens, I'm just going to get myself positioned so that I don't care. Like, I'm just going to be able to step into this life surrounded by bees, right? And then just die doing that. And I just am not going to have any sympathy, remorse. I'm definitely not going to have anything kind to say about these moronic Westerners as they keep voting for bankers. Like, we are just too stupid to solve these problems. And so my focus is on, after we hit the brick wall, the natural systems will take back over, right? And those natural systems are infinitely more powerful than we are. Like, we're pathetically weak compared to these natural systems. It's actually like a miracle that we're even able to move the needle at all. Like, it's taken the full scale of our society to be able to move the needle at all. That's pretty impressive, because the ecosystem and the natural environmental systems are extremely powerful, way more powerful than we are, like infinitely more powerful than we are. And we've put ourselves into a position where we are destabilizing the system that's designed to be stable. Like, the earth and the environmental systems are, like, they made a garden for us. Like, we came out of them. Like, we came out of it, not the other way around. We didn't make the gardens were already there, right? That's what the earth wants to be. It generated itself that way for us, to generate us. We're the ones that are turning around and destroying it, right? And we are going to destroy it. We're not going to destroy the earth. We'll just destroy... We're basically saying to the earth, hey, thanks for the sustainable ecosystem, but we don't want it anymore. And the earth's response will be, oh, okay. Enjoy hitting that brick wall. Enjoy hitting that moment where you're no longer sustainable. Enjoy it. It's coming. And we will. We'll smash right into it. And when we smash into it, like, millions upon millions of people will be like, what? Meanwhile, I'll, like, have been standing there, like, pointing a finger at the brick wall the whole time, like I've been doing for 20 years. And so my focus is on just like, yeah, when we hit the brick wall, the earth is going to want to regenerate itself, right? Because that's what it did in the first place, right? It created this, created us. It wants to generate this. It wants to create gardens. It wants to evolve creatures. It wants creatures to attain sentience. It wants creatures to attain awareness and self-awareness, and then enlightenment. It wants creatures to do that. It generates a system that generates that result, and that's what it wants. And it also has generated a bunch of scared little monkeys that think money is real, and are going to literally destroy themselves in pursuit of their stupid idea of profit. And meanwhile, the earth is just like, yeah, just bumping along. Everything's fine. Just keep moving. Keep moving. Yeah. Billions of you will die in a conflagration. Normal. Just this is a normal part of just being part of the system. Everything's fine. Right? And in my view, like, if you care about humanity, then yeah, go surround the halls of power, go fight for humanity, go fight for the West, right? Go try to organize, do all that kind of stuff, sure. But I feel like I'm pretty much over with that. Like 5 years ago, I was like that. And now I'm just like, nah, I think the energy that where we should be funneling our energy as a people is in already preparing to rebuild the natural ecosystem after we smash into the wall. Because we're gonna smash into the wall. And we're not interested in not smashing into the wall. It's like we're watching like a self-destructive teenager. We're just watching somebody who, like, all they have to do is nothing, right? Like all you're watching this person and you're like, you could just do nothing. Like you could just do absolutely nothing and everything will be fine. And instead of that, they just have to do the thing that's going to destroy them. They have to alienate their friends. They have to alienate their boyfriend or girlfriend. They have to do those drugs. They have to get drunk. They have to do these things. They have to. And you're just like, why? Why? Why are you doing that? And they have no explanation. They can't tell you. They're just in this mode of total self-destruction and like a total teardown of themselves. And it's all tied up in like this existential feeling of like, I'm not actually who I am. I feel like I'm just being presented with a mask and I'm tired of masking. I want to explore my own self. So I'm going to burn down this old self so that a new person can be reborn. And I'll run away to join the circus, or I'll take a trip through Europe, or I'll do any of this kind of stuff and just constantly self-destructing themselves. That's what we're doing. Like we are destroying ourselves. And we're doing it on purpose. We're doing it with awareness. We no longer care. We're not interested even in caring. We don't want to have a conversation about whether or not we actually care, because we don't. Like we've sacrificed the right to pretend like we care to money. We sold out. Like we sold that right. Like there was a moment back in maybe the 90s where it started to look like we might care, and then we just gave up on it because we realized we would prefer to make money. Jefferson says, yesterday I saw an interview with a Palestinian Brazilian woman who was trying to come back to Rio. What she said was, we are dead men walking. Only our bodies move, but our soul doesn't exist anymore. Yeah. And so how do we reclaim our souls, right? Like, I used to think that we could reclaim our souls by reclaiming our humanity, by reclaiming our senses or reclaiming our dignity, but I've come to realize that that's not real. That we reclaim our souls by working on behalf of the creative forces, the things that created us, the forces that sustain us, right? Like we cannot regain our humanity by helping humans anymore, because humans no longer have humanity. Certainly not Westerners, right? We can have a different conversation about different nations. I don't speak for the global South, for example, right? I'm from Canada, so I speak for Canada. And we definitely have just given up on the idea of being humans. Like, we don't really have humanity anymore. Like, we no longer care. And we're going to pay for that. It's going to come with a heavy price. That some of us will make a lot of fake invisible dollars that we made up in the first place, and gain the goodness of the God that we all worship and praise. And then the rest of us will just eat it, right? We'll just eat the shit out of it. And it'll be a disaster. Like, the thing that I think people are not ready for, because like the flooding and the wildfires and all that, I think people are like ready for that mentally. I think that there is, but it's the famines. I think the famines are going to be shocking. That when the burger eaters start to experience actual famines and are told that they have to ration, and are told that they can't get access to their Oreos or whatever, right? Like when their snackies dry up, or when their snackies cost 5 times the amount that they did previously. When you start to see, like, when you have a season where there's like a big crop die out, right? Like, the famines are coming. And I just don't think that the American mind, the Western mind, is capable of withstanding it. I think that the Western mind is very fragile and very weak. And that fragility is going to leave millions and millions of people very, very vulnerable to overt, obvious Nazism. Joe writes, it's weird. People are still good and condemn the massive greed, but at the same time, tune it out. Yeah. Like, we've all intrinsically given up. Right? Like, what is there to fight for? Like, really, that's not rhetorical. What is there to fight for? What are we fighting for? Again, not rhetorical. Like, we have dropped the ball so significantly. We have dropped the ball so dramatically. We have dropped the ball on such an enormous scale, on such an enormous level, that the concept of planning for the future, like, the people who are planning for the future are erecting police cities. The people who are planning for the future are passing legislation to allow martial law to take hold. Like, the people who are planning for the future are the Nazis. And their planning for the future is getting ready for the disasters, getting ready to manage the disasters that they themselves created. Like, what is worth fighting for? Like, what are we fighting for, though? Like, what are we fighting for? Again, not rhetorical. Like, my interest in this plane of reality is not in humans. Like, that's just, like, I'm interested in humans as a curiosity. Why are you doing this? Like, why have we, like, the big question that historians, should any remain, will actually be asking, and I know that I'm asking this question, is how did we get a generation of people who so thoroughly abandoned their own children? Like, how did that happen? Like, you pick any time in human history, and what you see is a group of people talking about, how do we make things better for the next generation? How do we make it so the next generation has a better go? How do we build institutions to make sure that the next generation is better than we were? Right? It's one of the most common ethoses of the Western mind, is this constant idea that the next generation should be better off than we are. And at some point that was broken. Right? At some point that was broken. And I think it's worth asking why. Like, how did we get a generation of people who literally said to their children, go fucking die? It's incredible, actually. Like, it's an incredible moment in human history. Like, a total pivot of, like, tens of thousands of years of human evolution. Just humanity constantly banging on this drum of make things better, next generation better than ours, next generation better than ours. And then in the space of a single generation, our children should go die and go fuck them. Just like a total pivot, 180 degrees. How did that happen? I think that's worth investigating. Joe writes, Chris Hedges often says, I fight fascists not because I will win, because they are fascists. I just think that, like the nature of the fight is what I'm changing. right? Like, I don't think that there is going to be this big moment where we are going to stand up against these fascists and the fascists will back down. Like, I think the fascists are going to destroy themselves and us collectively. Like, I think it's going to be a collective conflagration. And that what needs to actually be done to prevent them from doing it is to surround the halls of power with millions of people. That's what is required. Like, that's where we are now. We're no longer living in a space where this delusional idea that we can just vote our way out of it is serious. And because we are so unserious, like, the reason why I'm concluding the things that I'm concluding is because we're just childish and unserious. We're not actually interested in doing what has to be done. And everybody feels like they're bought in. Everybody feels like they've got too much to sacrifice, right? Because that's the way the system is designed. It's to keep you on the hook, right? And what everybody needs to do is literally walk out of their workplaces, collectively together, go surround the halls of power, and demand a change. And if they don't get it, go into the halls of power, remove those people. Like, that's what it will require. Because we're so deep into this rabbit hole now. Like, we're so far down. We're so far away from anything even beginning to resemble, like, human empathy or human rational thinking. Like, we have disconnected ourselves completely from our senses and from the natural world completely, that we just don't care. And so my feeling on it is like, oh yeah, okay, if we're not going to care, then let's hit that brick wall. And so if we're just going to hit the brick wall, right, I'm not going to stand around wasting my breath or wasting my time on these idiots that want us to smash into the brick wall, right? I'm not going to spend years and years and years trying to convince people of what is obvious. I'm simply going to ask the question, okay, well, what's to be done once the wall is hit? Like, what do we do when the wall gets hit? What am I focused on? What do I care about? How do I fight back against these fascists? Well, I'm not going to fight back against these fascists. I'm not going to spend my time trying to fight back against these fascists in the way of humanity, because I think that that's a dead end, right? And nothing has proven that to me more than engaging with Canadians, just like the weakest people I've ever met. Like, politically dead, politically inert, not really engaged in anything serious, have no general awareness of their surroundings, still completely engaged in the idea that, yeah, capitalism's good, actually. Like, get a grip, man. Like, really get a grip. Like, we're a society of flat earthers, right? It's like, I watched this great movie that Tim Robbins was in called Eric the Red. And Eric the Red, it's like a series of, like, vignettes. It's like a series of things. He's a Viking, and he goes around the world, and he encounters this people, and their island is sinking. And he spends the entire time that he's on the island being like, your island is sinking. And the entire time they're just like, no, everything is fine. Everything's fine. The island isn't sinking. Everything is fine. Right? And he's just saying to them, your island is sinking. Like, we got to do something. Get off the island. Until he's literally at the point where he's in his boat, right, holding out his hand to the people who are on the top of, like, this apex of the island sinking. And they're sinking into the water, and he's like, get on the boat, your island is sinking, get on the boat. And then finally they're like, no, everything's fine, and they sink into the water and disappear into its depths, all the while just going, everything's fine, everything's completely fine. And I'm just like there. I'm just like, yeah, okay, your island's sinking. Do you want to do the one thing that we need to do to actually make it so the island's not sinking anymore? No? Okay. Well, then I need a boat. Right? And I'm not interested in saving you, person who refuses to get up off your couch and eat your burgers and, like, drink your soda pops or do anything to do anything meaningful. Like, I've tried that. I tried that for years, right? And it's not happening, right? So we're just going to smash into that brick wall. And so I think to myself, where does my allegiance lay? What am I supposed to be doing? Right? And what I'm supposed to be doing is maintaining the life systems. Nobody else seems to care about that. Right? I guess that makes me a radical leftist. Right? Nobody else seems to give a shit about, like, hey, maybe we should make sure that there are, like, pollinators. Maybe we should make sure that there's, like, breathable air. Maybe we shouldn't be focusing on it from, like, a commodity standpoint. Maybe we shouldn't think to ourselves, yeah, I'll get the bees and then that'll make me a honey and I'll be able to sell that for the money. Oh, I'll send those down to California. We'll make ourselves a nice tidy profit. How about just, like, nature needs bees? How about that? Adib says, was just in some crazy old guy stream. You should have heard what they were spewing. Some people really want everyone who look like me to be unalived. Yeah. It's kind of what I'm talking about, dude. Like we have to deal with, like, the existential struggle of climate change. And we've still got people talking about skin color. Like, we're not serious. We're not a serious people. And, like, I'm finally to a point where it's just like Sodom and Gomorrah burned down. I'm not going to shed a tear for it. We had all the opportunity to stop it. We had all the chances to stop it. We've had all of the occasion. We've had all the warnings. We've even had people elected specifically to deal with the issue, and then they turned out to be frauds. Like, why are we... I'm just tired of pretending it. Like, I'm tired of pretending. Like, I don't know why we're still pretending. Like, Donald Trump got elected. His opponent was actively committing a genocide. We're not coming back from this. Yeah, they're too brain dead to even think about issues like climate change. Yeah. This is what I'm talking about. Like, if you're genuinely still looking at a person who has a different skin color than you and thinking there's a problem there, right? If you're existing in that bandwidth on that frequency, you're not a serious person. Like, a white person and a black person and a brown person who are workers have more in common with each other than their owner, right? And if you're sitting there talking about, like, the scary oogie boogie, like, Islamic guy or the Muslim, then your boss is laughing, right? He's super happy that you're talking about that instead of talking about the actual thing that matters in your life. Like, that's the part about it that is so pathetic. Like, that's what makes these guys enormous losers, is that, like, it doesn't matter to them at all. Like, so some immigrant comes in and then gets a job working at a taxi service or something, or like at a convenience store or a Tim Hortons or something, and you're complaining about this. You're just a loser. Like, you're just an enormous, pathetic person. Like, why don't you complain about the capitalists? Why don't you complain about the people who are taking advantage of you? Like, the story from the perspective of the immigrant is just, I'm going to a new country to try to make a go of it there. And, hey, I got a job here. Okay, everything's looking up. Everything's fine. Right? And irrational people who have thoughts in their head would be like, yeah, we want to support people who take that journey. We want people to be able to establish here, right? It's to the benefit of our country to have strong immigrant culture come in. Like it's to our benefit to be multicultural. It's to our benefit to have this situation happen, right? And why doesn't that happen? Because the capitalists pit us against the immigrants in order to deflect attention away from them. And it works every single time because we're too stupid. Because we're just too dim-witted to figure it out. Yeah, they view the capitalists as their Übermenschen idols. Yeah, capitalists are somehow good. That we should want capitalists. Like, it's just embarrassing. It's just embarrassing. It's the reason why I can't really talk to these guys. Because the whole time I'm just like, oh, okay. Like, and they don't want to be convinced. That's the big thing. Like, that more than anything else is what got me to realize that this is a religious ideology. Because these people, they believe in what they believe as a religion. And they can't be swayed. They can't have it changed. And so, as we nail that brick wall, and we will, right? And it's going to happen a lot sooner than you like. Right? It's going to happen a lot sooner than you like. My feeling is that we should get ourselves positioned to sustain the life systems, sustain the earth systems as best as we can. That our goal should not be to sustain the society or to sustain humanity even, or the West even, because nobody cares about that. Right? Like, nobody here in... Like, if we cared about the humans, we'd be taking care of the humans. There's all kinds of stuff that we could do, right? We should be focused on the life systems, on the earth systems. Food, shelter, pollinators, right? We should make sure that we create little pockets where things might actually be safer. Peanut Butter Beatrice says, I think within the next 5 to 10 years at this rate. Yeah, that's the prediction. Like this is what the climate change people are saying, right? And the climate change people have been nailing it over and over again. Like, usually when the climate change people are wrong, it's in the direction of their conservatism. That they'll be like, yeah, it'll probably heat up over 15 years, 5 years, they hit it. It's like this 1.5 degrees Celsius stuff. Like, they were all saying by 2030, by 2030, by 2030. Well, we hit it in 2023. So, and we're going to hit the breaking points, right? We're going to hit the tip over points, right? We're going to create feedback loops. There's just going to be systems that collapse followed by further collapsing systems, right? Like, we really are looking at a situation where, like, billions of people, billions with a B, BBB, billions of people will be displaced and die. Like, it's just what's going to happen. And, like, we're going to see, like, mass migrations. We're going to see, like, enormous amounts of destabilization. It's going to be huge. It's going to be just huge amounts of it. Where, like, the entire coastal population of China will move inland. Right? Like, you're looking at literally, like, 500 million people just moving inland. The people will flee from the coasts of America. Right? Like, it's a big reason why these police cities are being set up, is to deal with this exact crisis. And, like, Florida will be uninhabitable. I think my favorite one, I've said it several times, and it's, like, my absolute favorite one that I'm going to really pay attention to, and I'll really talk to you guys about it, should they permit the internet to continue. But my favorite is going to be listening to all the New Yorkers complain about how they can't use the subway system anymore. That's going to be so great. And, like, we're going to be looking at a situation where it's going to require like billions, if not trillions of dollars worth of investment to actually recover, and it won't come. Like, you're going to have like entire populations, entire like cities worth of populations that are going to be flooding into whatever community they can find. And there's not going to be any shelter there for them. So they're just going to erect like tents. So you're just going to have like refugee camps like all around America. And not to mention like Africa, China, like all these places, right? Like Europe. Like, you're going to have like gigantic refugee shelters, and then what's gonna happen? You're gonna have famine spread through. You're gonna have diseases spread through. You're gonna have war. Like, it's not going to be a pleasant time, and it's like right here, and it's obviously coming. And instead of the humans doing anything about it, we're literally still funding a genocide while erecting cop cities, doing everything we can to just like maintain the power of like 5 idiots. Like, it's super important that Mark Zuckerberg is protected. Like that, like really think about that. Like really think about how stupid that is and how stupid we are for thinking it. That we have to configure the entire society so that Mark Zuckerberg is safe. We're fucking morons. And I just don't think that, like, and I guess maybe you can accuse me of being cynical, I suppose. But I really am just like, give me something. Like, show me something. Show me anything, literally anything, in the last 40 years that should convince me that any Western country, pick any of them, actually give a shit about this and actually care. And if you can do that, then I'll start to maybe talk about how maybe the West is worth a good goddamn at all. I don't see it. What I see is just a settler colonial project that's still continuing. And if it takes like an enormous apocalyptic event to destroy it, then so be it. Like, if that's the cost, then let it be paid. Because what I don't think that this, like, a system that is having the natural ecosystem turn against it is a system that should be killed and it should die. And we are choosing not to kill it ourselves. That's the only way that we could regain our credibility and our worthiness or our worthwhileness. That I might lament a people who were fighting back and who are fighting back and who are losing. Right? Like, I might actually shed a tear for that. We're not fighting back. We're not interested in that. We're voting for bankers. Like, bye-bye. Nice knowing you. We're going to hit that brick wall. We're going to smash into it. Like, and when we smash into it, all of these dim-witted climate change denialists people will suddenly be talking about how, well, we all knew this was coming. Like, no, get your ducks in a row. Fight for the planet, not for the people. Like, give up on the people. Like, the people are living in trances. They're bamboozled by TikTok videos. They're eating burgers, sitting on couches, going to jobs they hate, to work for people they don't know. Like, literally buying gigantic trucks and cyber trucks in order to feel good about themselves. Like, get fucked. And then the people who are standing up and who are trying to organize, they get themselves into total dead ends, where they're just like literally like, we should stand up and defend against what's happening, and we should do something for the benefit of the people, and we should all funnel our energy and go vote Democrat. Okay, bye-bye. Bye-bye. Or like, I know what we'll do. We'll all get together and we'll all put on red outfits, and then we'll do a silent sigil march outside the Parliament building on a Wednesday afternoon. Okay. And cool story. Like, we're so wildly beyond that at this point. Like, we're so wildly beyond that. And like, what we're going to end up with is we're just going to end up with more Luigi Mangionis. And it's already happened. Like, this situation is exactly that. Right? It's just some American finally saying enough is enough. Right? And instead of going to go shoot up a school, they actually go do something worthwhile. Like, if even 10% of these school shooters started shooting at politicians, like, I think something serious would happen. Like, it's kind of amazing that we've been shooting children for 20 years. And only now we've been like, wait a minute. Maybe the people who are providing me like the most suffering and angst, maybe it's not school children. Maybe it isn't like kids in my school. Maybe there's someone else. Maybe. Oh. Joe writes, we're so past that, yeah. Peanut Butter Beatrice says, we'd have gun control tomorrow. I think it's too late for that in America. I think a big reason why the political system doesn't try to take control, like do gun control or anything, is that it's just like way too late. Like, the country is absolutely awash in weapons. Like, just absolutely just drenched in weapons. And I don't think that they'd be able to get, like, out of it. Like you're talking about like literally a lifetime. It would take like a lifetime of buyback programs and a lifetime of like just routinely going through societies and cultures and being like, hey, we're doing a gun buyback. Like, hey, please hand in these types of weapons. Hey, this kind of thing. Like, hey, we need to do it. Like, it would take like a generation. And the biggest problem, of course, is in America, things have gotten so hysterical with this gun ownership thing, is that if you even suggested it, you would have like a little miniature revolution on your hand. Not a serious one, right? Because Americans are not serious people, but you would have like gun owners considering that to be the red line that they wouldn't tolerate anymore, right? So it's like, as long as they have their burgers and their guns, then they're happy sending their taxes over to Gaza to kill little children, right? Americans are happy about it. Like, they don't care. Renovation, good to see you. Hello again. I don't know, guys. Like, the way that I've been talking today, like, it's like dour and kind of like sad, and like a little cynical. Cynical is the word, but I'm just like at some point, you know, like I can't continuously engage myself, and I can't continuously put energy towards a people that are obviously trying to kill themselves. Like, there just really does come a point where I'm just like, just do it then. Like you obviously don't want to stop. Like, you're obviously not interested in it. So just do it. Stop wasting my time. And I'm going to focus on the things that are actually trying to persist through time, right? Like, the humans are obviously trying to kill themselves. The Westerners certainly are. So I'm going to focus on the forces around me that are not trying to kill themselves. I'm going to focus on the energies and the forces around me that are actually trying to say, like, hey, we can make things better for the next generation. Hey, things can be better. Things can be nicer. How do we do that? Right? That's what I'm going to focus on. And it's no institution in the West. Not one university, not one government organization, not one bank, certainly not the banks. The doctors, the lawyers, the engineers, like, nobody. There isn't anybody throughout the entire Western system. No institution anywhere. So I'm not interested in that. Why would I focus on institutions that are working to destroy everything around them? And that's literally all of our institutions. So I'm just going to focus on the life-giving systems and try to funnel my energy towards them. Get bees planted down. Put some bushes into the ground. Really, like, facilitate life. Make life grow. Just keep planting seeds. Keep allowing life to carry forward. Because the humans will kill themselves, and we die. But this system of life continues on. Continues forward. And all it wants to do is grow, and all it wants to do is make gardens. Have you noticed that reality just makes gardens? Like, every single time I do any gardening, right? Like, there's this little moment in my mind where it's like, wow, it really is this easy. You dig a fucking hole, you put some seeds or like a root or something in that hole, you fill the hole, and then guess what happens? Life. And it isn't complicated. It isn't complex. That the system is designed to operate this way, and we are doing everything we can to kill it. Or at least make it so that we can no longer survive off of it. Like, we're stupid. And I just don't have the energy to root for humanity anymore. Certainly not the West. I'm going to root for the systems that have the long-term track record. And that's the ecosystem itself. Just like, all I can do is mock these stupid fucking humans. Like, we're like, look at this shit. BlackRock is suing United Health for giving too much care to patients after the CEO was murdered. Like, can anybody show me one good person? Can anybody show me one institution? Not rhetorical. It's a challenge. One institution that's even attempting to try to even help one person. JT says, I need reality every once in a while. Trying to go out and navigate normal folk is more performative than ever. Yeah. Yep. Like, it really is just a whole lot of meeting people where they are. Right? And where most people are is La La Land. Most people are just like Marvel movie burgers. Like, that's it. Joe writes, hard not to be misanthropic. Look, the thing that helps me, Joe, and I know it sounds counterintuitive. I know it seems a little odd, right? Like, but it's absolutely the truth. Is, like, you're like a spirit creature living in a meat body, right? Like we're just visiting, right? Like, we're just visiting. We always were. That we have sort of set an expectation in our minds of some kind of grand immortality or some kind of legacy or some kind of idea like that. But that was always just a lie. right? That was always just sort of like a weird little god complex that people get caught up in, right? Like history isn't going to remember Elon Musk. Like, they're certainly not going to give a fuck about us. That, like, we're just here to see it. We're just here to experience it and be around and take a look, right? And to just be part of reality and to be part of life. And all of this, like, concept of human greatness or the American dream or manifest destiny or any of this kind of stuff, it's all just bullshit. It's all just dumbassery. Just a bunch of monkeys getting their heads up their own asses and thinking that they're bigger than they are. Like, you and I are going to die, Joe. You and I are going to go. How do I know? Because that's how it is. And I refuse to go fretting and worrying about what these dumb monkeys are going to do. And instead, when I go, I want to know that I did right by my creator. That the conversations that I want to get into are not actually between me and another human. Because those conversations were had. And the kickback was, we'll destroy ourselves for money. And I go, I don't think that's wise. And they go, but I like money. We have to protect the economy. Cool. You can keep your economy. And we'll see where that takes you. I'm going to focus on creating something for the universe. And I think that that's the big shift in my mindset that I've had over these last few weeks. I don't care to create anything for humans. I don't think that creating anything for any human to enjoy anywhere is going to do anything. That what I seek to create is something for the universe. Something for reality. Something for life. So that life can continue forward. And if my small energy can persist even a little while after my death, then I consider that to be a success. Especially when we're in the face of systems that are seeking ultimate destruction. Wholesale, like full-scale destruction. And so I don't feel depressed or misanthropic or I don't have a malaise about it anymore. Because I don't expect anything from these humans anymore. Like, it used to be that I had an expectation. And I would fall into a sense of depression or sadness because that expectation wasn't being met. Well, I don't have that expectation anymore. The monkeys are going to kill themselves. They're trying really hard. They're making it really clear that they want to. They couldn't be making it clearer. Right? Like, I don't know how else they can make the statement, we want to destroy ourselves. I don't know what they would have to say. Like, literally, the previous government and our current government will say things like, yes, we need to be concerned about the climate, but the economy. Just brain dead. So you can keep your economy. I don't expect anything of it. And once the expectation is gone, all of that sense of sadness, all of the depression, all of the anxiety. It just goes with it. Because it's not attached to anything anymore. Because I don't expect the president or the prime minister or the central banks or anybody to actually stand up and say at any time, maybe we should care about humanity. Maybe we should care about our citizens. Outside of some like sales pitch. And I'm to the point now where if they did start talking that way, I would be like, it's a scam. And it would likely be a scam. Right? They would try to get you to buy some like green coin or something. Right? Just how they like greenwashed everything. Said, this is eco-friendly. This is eco-friendly. And it was all just bullshit. Yeah, everybody recycle. And recycling was bullshit. Like, it's all bullshit. These people want to destroy themselves and their children. They want to. It's obvious. That if we pay attention, it should only be as a curiosity. To say, why? Why are you destroying your children? Why are you destroying your systems? Why are you destroying yourselves so obviously? So obviously. And the only answer that I can get from these people are, well, the economy. So just like the narcissistic power of a small group of losers who have the vision of like a little baby deer. Just straight up, just like, money me good. Money me good. Me money good. Okay, you have your money. See where it gets you. Oh, is it the grave just like the rest of us? No, super worthwhile, right? A life well lived. Nah. I'm going to plant flowers. I'm going to build hives. I'm going to spread them throughout an island. I'm going to see how many of these hives I can get. I even have like, now we're getting into ridiculous territory, but I'm happy to do it. Because I do have this fun little vision. Like, I could get one of these robots, right? And train the robot to be able to tend the bees and the beehives. So that when I go, there's this robot, or maybe series of robots, that are just taking care of these hives. And that there will be this like automated system where these robots take care of the hive, harvest the honey, and just send the honey into the world. That's a nice idea. I think about that a lot. That I'm not interested in doing it for profit or money. I'm interested in doing it because it's a good thing to do. That what would be better for life? What would be more helpful for life than an automated system that protected and promulgated the pollinators? While simultaneously just spreading around honey. I think that'd be really great. Jefferson writes, for the past few years, I've been trying really hard to suppress these misanthropic thoughts in my head. Reading the news makes it hard, but I try. Well, ignorance is bliss, right? There was a period of time where I tried to disconnect from the news, but it made things a lot harder for me. That I can't really fall into ignorance is bliss. It's not really who I am. No, I just feel like we're circling back around on the same... Yeah. Disliking humankind and avoiding human society. Yeah. Like, when it comes to liking humanity, I'm finding that when I pay attention to the global south, I find I walk away from that exploration being like, man, humans, humans. Like, anytime I take a look at China, I'm just like, these humans, man, they're doing something, man. They're doing it. Like, China is quite literally, non-hyperbolically, on the precipice of having access to what amounts to free and infinite energy forever. Like, these guys are going to be activating like thorium reactors. They're activating their solar panel fields, their solar panel satellites, like this kind of stuff. Like the China is actually in the process of decarbonating itself. It's actually declining in terms of its carbon production right now. Oh, excuse me. The like, I know that I keep saying humanity, but that's because I'm stuck in the West, right? I'm in the West. I'm here. And so that's my perception of humanity, but it's not humanity, right? Humanity is perfectly capable of dealing with these problems. Like, that's the real rub of the whole thing. It's like, we have clear evidence. We have the clearest evidence you could ever want of like a complex society solving problems. Solving gigantic, major, huge, large-scale problems. Like, the stuff that China is doing is making the West look like a goddamn idiot. Because the West is a goddamn idiot. Like, we could just be building high-speed rail. We could be building thorium reactors. We could be building solar panels. We could be building. We could be building. We could be building. And what are we doing instead? Fuck all. Literally just like Jeff Bezos. Straight up just like, we're catching like a piece of what the Chinese are producing, and the Chinese are sending over like toys and burgers. Right? That China builds, America destroys. Yeah. And it's like, but it's the existence of China. It's the existence of what they're doing that makes us look even more foolish. Right? Like, what we were doing would be bad enough. I would already be talking the way that I'm talking without this very clear example. But we have a very clear example. And it's so obvious. And like, you get like, it's so frustrating that when you talk about China, right, the first thing someone will bring up is like the Uyghur genocide, as if they know what's going on. And it's like, how do you have a serious conversation with people who are this unserious? Like, and so I think the best thing for us all to do is just to disengage from these and to expect nothing, because we're not going to get it. Like, nothing is coming. Like, we're going to hit this brick wall. And the best thing that we'll be able to have is a I told you so on our way out. That's the best. And even then, like, the most annoying part will be all the humans that were denying it suddenly saying it was inevitable. Like, that's going to be great. All of the, like, we'll have like Twitter pages and like posts and articles written by people who are talking about, well, you know, the science is out on climate change. I don't know. You'll have like PragerU, right? PragerU will like make some little kid's cartoon that's like, well, climate change was always a thing that was inevitable, and this is why the left got it wrong. Right? And in many ways, I feel like Like, I feel oddly privileged for the opportunity to bear witness to this cacophonous moment. That this is a very special moment in human history. Like, it really is. Like, this is an incredibly profound, awesome moment in human history. We are self-immolating ourselves. We are blowing ourselves up. We are destroying ourselves. And some of the humans see this and are like, yeah, we should probably not. Like, we should probably try not to do that. But a huge section, the West, Europe, Canada, the United States primarily, Israel, of course, we're just hell-bent on self-destruction. And we get to watch it. We get to see it. We get to document it. We get to discuss it. We get to wonder about it. We get to ask ourselves, how did this happen? Why did the humans do this to themselves? Why did the Westerners do this to themselves? What did they gain? JT writes, I did like the 80s sci-fi dystopias. Now I get to live them. No, I just think it's important to have this, like, sense of detachment from the humans. Like, it's fascinating, isn't it? Like, it's grotesque, and there's a real, like, gallows humor about it. There's a real, like, morbidity to the conversation. But, like, it is fascinating. Like if this were a documentary voiced by, like, David Attenborough, I just don't think people would believe that it's happening. Like, have we ever caught a species self-destruct like this? Have we watched it happen in real time? And I suppose that's why I can't get invested at all in, like, did you hear what Trump had to say? Trump said this thing. This guy said the other thing. Oh my God. It's like, because it's always going to be the same thing. It's just say the stupidest possible thing that you can say and then do the stupidest possible thing that you can do. But we're not actually taking the next step back and asking ourselves, like, how the hell did we get here? Why are we tolerating it? Like, the stakes for humanity could not be higher, and we're doing the opposite. Like, when I was growing up, Superman was a thing. We had this, like, American ideal of Superman, and that he stood for truth, justice, and the American way. And he's just dead. It's just dead. The idea of the American hero is dead. It's completely toast. Like, and it's not gonna resurrect. We're not gonna see, like, a Superman 2 Electric Boogaloo. Like, we're not gonna get Superman Reborn or any of that shit. Right? Like, Guy is gone. That the image of America is much closer to Lex Luthor now. Like, the Americans are villains. They're obviously villains. And it's not going to change. Like, I don't think I'll ever get over this. No matter how often I say it, I'm just never going to get over it. It's just like, it is what it is. Like, it's incredible. Like, we literally are trading the air, the water, the land, and our own communities and our own children for little pieces of paper and and numbers punched into a screen that we ourselves are responsible for creating in the first place. That's actually what we're doing. Like, it's not hyperbolic. It's not more complicated than that. It is actually that simple. That we are destroying the earth, we are destroying the water, we're destroying the air, we're loading ourselves up with microplastics. We're doing everything we can to destroy ourselves so that a small portion of us can make money. Jefferson writes, PragerU kids talking to Christopher Columbus is my favorite. Dude, that PragerU stuff, the PragerU kids, man, like, I actually genuinely feel like PragerU kids was the moment where I was like, oh yeah, these people should be rounded up as propagandists. Like Goebbels, right? Like, that PragerU kids shit, it's just like, nah, bro. Like, to the gulags. I'm fine with that. JT writes, it was neat that Jesse Eisenberg played Lex Luthor, but when he played Mark Zuckerberg, that was really Lex Luthor. Yeah, the Jesse Eisenberg's Lex Luthor was stupid because you can't actually have... Like, I remember when I was growing up, Lex Luthor was exactly what he was supposed to be. He was an evil corporate dickhead, right? And everybody knew it. Like, back in the 80s and, like, throughout the early 90s, villains could be corporate capitalists, just greedy corporate capitalists, right? Like, one of the major antagonists in the film It's a Wonderful Life is a capitalist, right? Capitalists used to be villains. And then, of course, they wanted that to stop, right? And so how do you have Lex Luthor actually be a villain, but at the same time he's not an indictment of the system of capital itself, right? You just make him kind of a lunatic. You make him just kind of a Looney Tunes idiot, right? Like Jesse Eisenberg, like, and I'm sure he did a fine job, like, it's fine, but the character itself was written to be sort of an incomprehensible moron that, like, could never have executed on the plan that he was given, you know? Like, you guys have heard me talk about our media, and like our media is, like, case in point of what I'm talking about. It's childish, right? It's like, it's not even for children. It's just childish. Like, when I was a kid, a lot of the media was very serious. And a lot of the stuff I really liked as a kid was actually quite serious. Like, you go take a look at, I think the trajectory that Star Trek took is a really great example. Like, Star Trek went from being a very mature, very serious exploration, or the original Star Trek, the original series, was kind of always a little goofy, but that's because of production values, right? But then Star Trek The Next Generation and the films, the Star Trek films, were very mature and very serious in tone. And there were very serious conversations that happened about very serious subjects, which I always found very fascinating as a kid. And I loved engaging in it, and I loved being part of it. And But then Star Trek slowly, steadily over time, it like really loses its own thread until finally you get seasons and versions of Star Trek where you're just like the remake. I think the best observation that was ever made about the Star Trek remake with Chris Pines and all this was that none of the people on board that ship would have ever made it. Like, none of these people would have been like a starship captain, a doctor, a science officer. Like, none of them would have been at all permitted to even step on board the ship, let alone have any significant power. And how do we know that? Because they're all children. They're all acting like little kids. And I remember there was, what was it, Star Trek Discovery? There was one person, they had this woman character, and she had like anxiety. That was her whole like character thing, was that she had anxiety. And it's like, look, I get that Star Trek is trying to be inclusive and all that kind of stuff, but this is a starship. Like, these are serious people. The people that we should be presenting on this show should be the serious people that live in our society. And like, if you want to talk about anxiety, then like have a character who has had anxiety in the past and who talks about that experience. But like, you literally want like your helmsman to be having a panic attack, and that's okay because it's inclusive. Like, that's stupid. Like, we have sacrificed being serious. We've sacrificed the idea of just like, hey, we should have a serious discussion about serious issues and expect that to be taken seriously. But if you do that and then pass laws, you're called authoritarian. Hey, I pass a law and I expect everybody to follow that law. I'm an authoritarian, I guess. Okay. Gene Roddenberry had some pretty pivotal ideas. Well, I mean, it's pretty pivotal. It's pretty pivotal to say, like, the entire thrust of Star Trek and the reason why the capitalists have had to destroy it so effectively is its entire thrust is to say we will advance past capitalism. That it basically flouts in the face this idea, this capitalist idea that says this is the end of history, this is the best that we can do. Star Trek says, no, we can do better than this. We can get past this. And there's like literally an episode of Star Trek The Next Generation where they find a capsule. And inside the capsule is a capitalist from the 21st century. And they have big discussions about the nature of capitalism. And the guy literally asks, well, without money anymore, what's the challenge? What am I meant to do? And Picard looks at him and says, you're meant to improve yourself. Set about to it. Like, very straightforward, like, pro-socialist, pro-communist ideas coming out of Star Trek The Next Generation, which is why they had to destroy it and why they had to make it for children. And it's not even for children. It's just childish. Yeah, the new series are mind-numbing. Yeah, even the, like, Picard show, like, I've talked to people who have watched some of that Picard, and it's just like, oh, you like it because it's just fan service, right? It's not actually a good story, doesn't actually say anything meaningful. It's not actually like an interesting conversation about an issue that's serious. It's just, oh, did you see it's Worf? Okay. Jefferson writes, the process of the media becoming more and more childish is global, at least on countries where the media and elites served the U.S. in neoliberalism. And now with social media, they lost all credibility. Like, it's so interesting because there are shows out there that I think do want to have serious conversations. It's just the style of those conversations is a little bit different. that like Star Trek, it's like debate, right? It's like, here's my position, here's your position, I'm going to defend my position, right? But like you think of like a show like Adventure Time, great show, right? And it presents a, it's like a children's show, but it deals with such serious subject matter all the time. Like very existential, very strange, very odd, often very like morally relative kind of stuff. And it's always presenting itself within abstraction, right? Like it's very rare to get an episode where it really makes a big statement. And if it does make a big statement, it's often stated so casually that the listener misses it. Like there was one time where Jake straight up was just like, he just laid it all out for Finn, where he just said, yeah, back in the past, the big guys beat up the small guys, took all the good land, drew up a whole bunch of borders, and then made a bunch of laws saying that this is fair, this is normal, this is how it's meant to be. It's like, oh, thanks, Jake. Just laid it all out. Yeah, the originals were mind expanding. The new series are mind numbing. Like, you started to see the decline with Deep Space Nine. That, like, Star Trek: The Next Generation was literally like, our whole society should be free from capitalism. There's literally like a race of Ferengi who exist in order for the series to make fun of capitalists. But then in Deep Space Nine, it became like joining a union. Like that's the most radical thing that you can think of. It's not eliminating capitalists, but negotiating with them. And then Voyager was just off in left field. Like they didn't really know what they were doing with that series the whole time. It was pretty clear that they didn't really know, which is a shame because there were some really good actors in that show. Janeway was such a great actress that they totally did dirty, man. They just gave her just such a turd of a character, which really sucks because Janeway was like, that actress was so good. Like when I look back on it, I watch episodes, I listen to her, I'm just like, oh wow, dude, like but Janeway is exactly case in point for what I'm talking about. Is like, Janeway would have never been a starship captain. Right? That when they made, Janeway was the first female captain of a Star Trek show, and it was like a big deal, right? And the writers were constantly talking about, we want to make Janeway more like a mother figure. We want to focus on her femininity and her motherliness. And it's like, then she's not a starship captain. You fucking dumbasses. There's no such thing as a starship captain who's like motherly and wants to nurture and like, no. She's the captain of a fucking starship. Like, you expect some standards, right? JT said Voyager was fairly predictable, really. TNG was not. I don't know about Deep Space Nine. I presume leftists mostly like it because it mirrors certain combos, but I don't know if it's overt. Deep Space Nine was interesting because it was a little bit muddier. Like, the waters were more muddy, right? Like, Star Trek Next Generation was, like, episodic, and at the end of every episode, things kind of returned back to the natural status quo. Whereas Deep Space Nine was a little bit more politically complex. And there was a great episode where they dealt with the subject of religion, and they had like the religious fanatics and the religious fundamentalists, and then they had like the true spiritually minded person, and they had the agnostic, and they had the atheist, and they were having these like big religious conversations about what is this and what is the nature of this and all this. And I really like admired that episode of Deep Space Nine. I was like, that's a really bold decision to make, to really take that subject on. And to go into it full bore while not trying to give everybody their own space. I think that was what made that episode so impressive, is that everybody got their own space. And it wasn't like they were speaking only to be dunked upon. And yeah, felt honest like TNG was, not flashy. Well, and the characters were all believable, right? Everybody was in their place and everybody made sense. Like, it made sense that why am I blanking on his name? That sucks. The captain. But he started as a commander, right? He wasn't even a captain to begin with. And so it makes sense that he has certain thoughts and ideas, and and tying in his backstory to Locutus of Borg, I thought was very clever. And dude, why am I blanking on his name? That's so annoying. He's a great actor too. Like, he was a great actor. He had some really great performances throughout Deep Space Nine. It's a really great two-parter where they go back in time and then they accidentally kill, or they get involved in a situation where they where a civil rights leader gets killed, and so he replaces the civil rights leader. And that's how he ends up talking to like the time travel department, because they're like, hey, we found a picture of you in 2027 or something. What's the story? What's the story, Wishbone? Although Deep Space Nine is where they introduced like they introduced the concept of the Federation's like secret service. This is kind of what I'm talking about when I'm talking about like how Deep Space Nine was kind of the beginning of the decline of Star Trek, because they started to flood the space with capitalist biases that, because it exists in our reality, then it must exist in theirs, and that capitalism is a force that people will always return to. Right? Like it's inescapable, and Deep Space Nine kind of accommodated that a little bit. And recent versions of Star Trek have really, you have like entire seasons where there's a character who is from the CIA, basically. And it's like they're normalizing the CIA within Star Trek and being like, yeah, you need intelligence services, right? Star Trek, the Federation would have intelligence services. So who are the intelligence services? And of course, it ends up being a way to kind of justify the existence of the CIA, to make it so it's like, no, things go wrong sometimes, but we need to have this organization, right? They do more good than bad. Sure they do. Sure they do. JT says, I guess that was how TNG-style Star Trek got undone. Them actually exploring fully the politics of the show, where before it was a bit more about the ideas and you could run with it maybe. No, I just think that they started to buy in. They started... The primary thesis of Star Trek begins to be degraded. And it begins to be degraded with Star Trek Deep Space Nine, and now we're at a point where it's like in full decay in front of you when you watch new seasons and new episodes of what they call Star Trek, right? That the primary thesis of the show, like the if you recall, like Star Trek The Next Generation, the very first episode was Q confronting the crew of the Starship Enterprise and saying humans are barbaric and they can never evolve past that. And the humans on the Starship Enterprise, Jean-Luc Picard, saying humans can evolve and we can change and we can become better than we were. And we're going to prove it to you. And that the entire run of Star Trek The Next Generation is essentially rooted in that first seminal idea and that first seminal statement, that humanity can grow past its barbarous past. And it was the acknowledgement of that barbarous past and then the statement that we can grow past it that was so appealing. And as the show kind of wore on, series by series, and it starts with Deep Space Nine and then seeps into some of the movies and now exists in full force, like in Picard. It's like right in front of your face that no, humans can't evolve, that humans can't supersede it, they can't get through, they can't get over it, that we're just stuck with this stuff is now the more common view within Star Trek. And what that tells me is that the people who are making Star Trek don't understand what Star Trek is. And the people who are enjoying Star Trek now are doing so because there's such a dearth of good media. It's all just slop now. And everything is just like everything's just a rehashing of a rehash. And just escapism, really. Just like, oh, spaceships, lasers, pew pew, ha 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 ha. Well, that was fun. What did we just watch? I don't remember. Like, nothing has an effect on anybody anymore. There's no profound analysis. There's nothing really even worth talking about. Right? People are just like, well, I like that. Let's eat some ice cream and burgers. La 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 la. And then you ask them what they watched yesterday, and they're like, I forget. Right? And of course they forgot. There was nothing worth remembering. It didn't have an impact. Right? It just filled time. Jefferson writes, I haven't watched Star Trek, but from what you're saying, it seems at some point it became a lot like Mass Effect. Capitalism is the status quo. Yeah, it never jumps fully into that. Like, they never explicitly make it that the ruling system is actually capitalism, the way that it is like in Mass Effect. But it definitely is like the idea that we can create like a utopic vision of a positive vision of a future, right? Like everything's got to be dark and gritty and gloomy, right? Like it can't possibly be hopeful, and we're actually building something, and look at the endeavors we have going on. We're working collectively on a massive project that we think is going well. Like I think that's really what I'm driving at more than anything, right? Is that the thrust of Star Trek was always, hey, here we are collectively involved in a positive vision of a positive future for humanity, and it's going well. Sure, there's bumps in the road. Sure, there's things that are that we got to work on, right? That's where conflict comes from. That's where drama comes from. Sure, there's war, right? There's all kinds of stuff that happens, sure. But what we are all involved in, that's completely undeniable the entire time, is a collective project that is a positive vision of humanity, and it's going well. Right? And then now we're kind of at a place where it's like, well, the humans are here, and I guess. And I think that that's a reflection of the mindset of the creators, right? That the creators of today's modern art have lost faith in humanity. That, like, the existence of AI should tell you that we've lost faith in humanity. Like, we have lost faith in humanity. We want to turn the reins over to, like, a digital AI. Like, we don't want to actually create or design or explore or build or do anything of the sort anymore. We've lost faith in those ideas. That now life is just about, like, get what you can and then die. Just like the most kind of grisly, bleak bullshit that exists. And so instead of presenting like a hopeful vision or a positive vision of a future where we're all collectively working on it and it's going well, right? We get these very like dour, everything's going poorly for everyone. Everyone's just barely tolerating each other. Like, everyone's frustrated and angry. No one has a sense of contentment. Even the sense of wonder and awe is gone. There's no sense of like, let's see what's around the corner. Let's explore anymore. Like Picard is like bitter and old, and like is just like angry about how old he is, instead of being like, you know, a respectable starship captain who or like an admiral, an ambassador or whatever, who is content with the life that he's lived. Like there's so much of the like we have to kill our old heroes. It feels like we do it to we've done it to everybody. Like we've done it to Indiana Jones. We did it to Luke Skywalker. We did it to Captain Picard. Like we can't help ourselves. We just can't have like an older version of this hero basically show up and be like, how can I help? What is going on? What we need to work on this together, and we're gonna like, everything's got to be loaded with angst and anger and bitterness and frustration, right? And it's all because we know for ourselves that our immediate future is going to be cacophonous, that we don't have hope for our immediate future. And so it's difficult for us to imagine someone like Luke Skywalker would also still have a hopeful vision of a future, right? Or that Picard would as well. And like and all kind of circles back around to how I started this whole thing, which is that we're not solving these problems because we're too stupid. Like, we're just a very stupid people. We like burgers. We like milkshakes. We like TikTok. And that's it. And what's annoying about that is like, this is a miraculous reality. Like, your life is a miracle. Like, objectively. Every moment you are looking around and breathing air and experiencing it is a special, unique experience, exclusive only to you. Exhale, good to see you. And what's brilliant about your existence and my existence is that we can do what we want with it. That you are the expert, the true expert of your own life. No one can tell you what to do. No one can tell you what to think. No one can tell you who you are. You know. You know who you are. And no one else can tell you otherwise. And instead of gripping hold of that, instead of gripping hold of the reality that you live in, this special, fleeting, temporary existence, and saying, what is this? Why are we here? What is the purpose or the point? How do I explore this? How do I explore myself? How do I discover more of what this place is or has to offer? How do I persist in the world in a manner to give thanks back to the force that created me in the first place? Instead of all that, we're literally just like, gotta get to work tomorrow. Oh, did you see the game? Yeah, he really hit that. It's pretty astounding. Like, it's pretty astounding. Like, existence is this miraculous thing that we all get to experience collectively together. And we just seem to not give a fuck about it at all. That's wild. Like, people literally, like, counting little paper bills. amidst amidst creation. Like what happened to us? When did we become such huge losers? Was there ever a point where we were like looking around at each other being like, "Oh, here we are, like existential creatures born into an unknowable reality, sharing this reality together in this temporal time that we have together, and soon we will be gone, and what will be left behind is the reality that spawned us." What do we make of this? What do we think of it? We seem to be the ones that have been bestowed with the ability to communicate about it in the first place. Maybe we should say something about it. Maybe we should try to think about what this place is. Why does it exist in the first place? What is it trying to do? Do you think it might be alive? I wonder if there was any moment where there was just like a group of people or a civilization or a society that were basically just like, okay, yeah, let's eat food, right? Like, let's clean up the place, let's make sure everything's fine, and then like let's just chill out for the most part and be like, hey, what's up? Right? Certainly not ours. Certainly not us. So I think I just leave it on the phrase. Uh, Stop putting your energy towards structures that are trying to destroy you. Start putting your energy towards structures that are attempting to support you. And that means just taking a look at these systems that have abandoned you and abandoning them back. I'm going to close it down here, I think. Always remember, each and every one of you is a quantum being walking around in quantum energy. These billionaires are spending hundreds of billions of dollars in the hopes you'll never realize it. You'll just stay the good little commodity they need you to be. Rebel. Revolt. Repent. Good luck. We're going to need it.